content. Bonus content.
So that's where I like fingers during intercourse.
All right, you know what? Let's. Hey, everybody! Welcome back to. I believe we're on episode 3 of One More Podcast.
Do you believe or do you know? Can you
can
fucking count?
I do. Can count.
Can you? Are you like Count Dracula or something?
I not count Dracula.
God.
2. Anyways, my name is Yuval. I'm here with. We're gonna introduce ourselves. John is good. Nice. This is starting out very
circle.
There's a good. All right, and you, sir?
And John.
And then no.
Go ahead.
Zach.
And John.
And I'm Blake.
And John.
And John.
There you go.
Thank you.
Who's
Who's the last guy? We didn't hear anybody.
Yuval
And John.
There you go.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so
I'm
we're
done.
here talking about everything.
Everything.
Everything that really matters to us, important in our lives.
Damn, that's a fucking lot.
It is a lot. We got 21, 20... I forget. I already asked this question again. I'm 22 turning... Wow, God. My birthday's in 3 days. I hate this. I hate this so much. I'm turning 22. It's so weird. John, you're already 22. Zach, you're still 21.
Yep.
And Blake, you're 21.
21, yeah.
21. All right, Zach, do you have a driver's license or not?
What? Yeah, I have a driver's license.
Okay, all right, because I couldn't remember, because John was asking about it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure he has a driver's license, but
Yeah.
What?
John was like, Zach doesn't have a car, and then Zach
I was like,
"It's
well,
true, I
if he
don't
doesn't
have
have
a
a
third
car,
car."
do you have a driver's license?
and I couldn't remember, so thank you for clarifying.
Okay. You just threw me off. I was just like, it's sort of it's like a accusation.
You
No,
got
it was on
me. You
an
got me
accusation.
thrown off. I'm in my own zone.
Are you done?
Yeah.
What?
All right.
Where's this
Thank
coming
you.
from?
Walk around the club. Fuck everybody. Hope can't see, can't talk. Fuck everybody,
Are you good?
including our audience. Fuck everybody.
You're being so rude.
I
right
don't
now.
give a fuck.
John!
Fuck everybody. Hope.
It's okay, John. It's okay.
Zach, you need to like calm him down or something. You're right there, just like na-nee, na-nee, na-nee.
Quit stroking my back. Start stroking my cock. That's horribly
Oh
offensive.
my gosh.
You're so rude. You know my dad and stepmom and mom listen to this, right? I'm gonna forward this to your parents too. Be like, hey, you want to hear your son?
Want to hear what your
No.
kiddo likes to do?
No, you know what you're gonna do?
What am I gonna do?
You're gonna text me and be like, "Hey, John, you want to go, have a podcast?" And be like, "I can't. I'm having a threesome with an older couple." He's like, "My parents aren't home." He's like, "Yeah, I fucking know."
Are you done?
Yes.
Can we talk about some real shit right now? We're about to get real.
Well, I want to talk about real friends. How many of us? There's not many of us. Trust issues.
Oh my god.
Keep going. Keep going.
I don't know more. I don't know.
Keep going.
This is
Come
your
on.
chance. Get
This
it
is
out.
your chance. Let's talk about it.
Wah, and he failed.
So I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
You got 10
15,
fingers.
16, 17. I have about 18 friends. How many friends do you have, Blake? Actually, I was just counting till I hit a number that I thought was reasonable.
Oh, reasonable?
I was
Then-
about to say you need to change that to 1.
Whoa, hey, that's rude. I think minimum, at least you guys are my friends.
I like to think of us more as acquaintances.
Oh, okay. All right, well, that I guess I'll count that. What about you, Blake?
Well, I think we should be clear on how we define friends.
You have their phone number in your contact, and you have texted them at least once in the past month.
That's
then
a
I don't think
pretty-
that counts.
That's a pretty
You don't think
low bar.
No, I don't.
All right,
No.
twice in the month.
Let me.
I don't think text messages should be used to define.
All right, you've seen their face at least once in the past month.
No, I
What-
have my
How do you
list.
define
I
friendship?
have my list of friends that I've had for a few years.
I don't care about the list. Tell me how you define a friend.
I define a friend as somebody if I'm in trouble at 2:30 who am on that list.
That's
am I going to
pretty
call?
drastic.
That's not a family member.
So
That's pretty drastic.
That's not drastic.
Did I make
Actually-
that list? I made that list once.
Okay.
You called, I think because you were stuck at like Walmart or something, and then I drove.
Mm-hmm.
I did it. Boom! I'm on the list, baby.
Hey,
Yeah.
actually, something to chime in here. I actually do have a classification system.
Go ahead.
So I have A, B, C, D, and then the D is sort of D, E, F, right? Type friends, right?
Mhm.
So
Deaf friends.
deaf, yeah. They're not deaf as in can't hear, but they're
What was that?
definitely not my friends.
What?
What did he say?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. I remember chocolate.
I remember when they first created chocolate. Sweet
chocolate. I always hated it.
hated it.
I know. So anyways, what I was saying was, So I have A class friends, which were my actual friends. B class friends.
I don't care
which are
about
my-
anyone else except your actual friends.
They're my backup friends or B class.
Backup
Holy
friends.
shit!
You
got
are
your-
some sociopath, man.
You got your C class friends who are your classroom friends. And then you got your D, E, F, which are your don't even fucking try friends.
So this is. I love it already. All right, so where are your actual friends?
Nobody here.
Well, but like, define.
Y'all are all B class friends.
Yo, but like, define your.
All right, so actual friends are like, hey, I'm going through a tough time. It's 3:00 in the morning, and I
God,
soiled
don't steal
myself.
Blake. Don't steal Blake's. You got to do something different.
No, that's your actual friend. Like, if you're having a rough time, you call him up in the middle of the night. You'd be like, hey, bro, I need you.
But what if he's asleep?
What if it's a chick? It's still, oh, hey, bro, I need you.
What if it's asleep?
What if it's
Yeah, I
asleep?
feel like that's not really fair.
Yeah, that's
An
not
actual
fair.
friend
At a
will get up
reasonable
for
time.
you. An actual friend will get up for
But
you.
I sleep with my
I
phone.
put my phone on silent.
Yeah, same here. I do buzzing.
You'll know.
I need to
Oh,
sleep.
you'll
You'll know.
fucking know.
What do you mean? Oh,
I'm just gonna fucking telepathically be like, John needs me.
John alert.
No, but at least
See-
that
see,
friend, when he
you-
wakes up and does look at his phone, he will immediately call you and
True.
say, "Oh shit, I am so sorry. What did you need?"
True. And by the
Okay.
way,
Oh, but I would always
reasonable.
send a
by the
text
way,
back.
by the way,
No, you
when
don't,
you guys
Zach.
were
Liar.
Yes, I do.
Hey,
That's
by the
true.
way, when you guys were over here talking about like, oh, they'll telepathically know, and you guys were mocking it, that's why you guys are B class friends. Because my A class friends would fucking know. That's what I'm saying, right? Okay, so now that we know what a B class friend is, you got to understand what your C class friends are. Your C class friends are the ones who, yeah, it's like, you know, you see these people in class, and you know, if you got to work on a project, you know, you'll work with them. But
Yeah.
if you ever saw them out in the open, you'd be like, nah, we don't know each other.
Or the Asian,
What?
or the Asian guy next to you, and you know he's really good at school, so you become friends with him. So
That is incredibly
or
racist.
it's actually the exact opposite. It's a compliment.
actually,
Zach, are you offended by that?
while
I am incredibly offended by that because I am white and I was an AP kid and I did AP chemistry, AP physics, AP bio. AP
We're not talking about your school history. We're talking about friends here.
Big
What-
Black Rick over
Why
here.
did he make friends with
look,
me?
no one cares about how many anal penetration classes you
Hold
have.
on.
Okay.
John. So friend is, you wake up at you're like, man, I'm having a rough time, and then you call them at 3 a.m, and then they're like, I'm here for you, bro.
Yeah,
Is there
that's
any
your-
other qualifications?
That's pretty much it.
So like, literally anyone who has insomnia or is like a
Or
like,
bored.
bored at 3
Bored.
can be your friend.
I want to see what this guy has to say.
I think
I mean,
I
no.
have frequency restrictions on mine.
No. I
'Cause,
mean,
like-
you got to be able to trust that person too, right? I mean, I'm not gonna just call up just bored people at 3:00 in the morning. I'm gonna be like, hey, I know this dude, right? I lost my virginity to this dude.
Okay.
No,
Went to
I
Nam
mean-
with this dude.
I went to Nam with this
and
dude.
lost my virginity. in
and
Nam
lost my
to this dude.
virginity in Nam to this dude. No, so that's your A class friends. You got your B class friends who are like, you know, you get together, you go drink and whatnot, and you have
Yeah.
a fun time.
Yeah,
But I mean, you know, if
Have
you're
a
falling
podcast.
on like a hard time or
we're
whatever,
not gonna call them.
You're not gonna be like, yeah, my wife left me, and you know, my children are
What-
assassinating my
what's-
sexual identity.
You're 22. What are you?
So
my
why-
wife left me.
Why is
My
your
kids-
life filled with such like really broad variations
Yeah, like where's the?
between
It needs to be middle, in the middle.
Your life is not a cartoon.
John,
where
you think we're
where
missing the
at
point
one-
here?
one-
I think you guys are
one
missing the point. That's why you're
fateful
B
night.
class friends.
I think
B-class.
That's why you're
Blake
B-class.
and John. I think both of you guys with the whole. I understand
No,
it is
look,
a great
look.
trait to have if you can have a friend that
Look.
you can call at any time of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
But like, I can.
Isn't that just a best friend? Like
Yeah, that would be
or
like a
something
best
more?
friend.
Yeah, but best
going
starts
over
with a B.
friends.
But best starts with a B, and that messes
No,
up
it starts with
alphabetical
A.
order.
Oh my!
a best friend.
Oh,
A best
Oh.
friend.
that
Get
implies you
fucked.
can only have one. What if I'm
Exactly.
non-binary?
A best
A
friends
best-
or S.
A best friend.
Parentheses.
Sis.
Anyways.
Hold on, real quick. My rabbi had a really good joke. He said he's a large man, but he's very loving. But he had a joke where he said, "I'm going on a diet, you know, the alphabet diet." And it's like, well, what's the alphabet diet? Well, you can only eat foods starting with a certain letter. So he said, I'm on
hamburger,
the A
yeah.
hamburger, a cake, a cupcake, a muffin. It was really funny. I always
nice.
think about that.
It's a very
whenever I
Jewy
think.
joke.
Whoa, hey, God, Blake, what is your problem today? Jeez Louise, Papa
Okay,
Cheese.
so now that we've talked about Jews and Asians, I want to bring up a joke
Mention
about Jews and Asians,
Okay,
right?
go ahead.
So
I'm going to
there's
censor you at any point in time.
okay, so there's a pilot and a co So there's a pilot. So there's
Go ahead.
okay, so I knew that was coming.
Yay!
There's a pilot.
Okay, so there's an Asian pilot and there's a Jewish pilot and an Asian co-pilot, right?
Okay. Is this like a joke you're making up on the spot, or like an actual?
No, this is I know this joke.
Okay.
So they go up into the air, right?
Hold on. Is this like a Louis C.K. joke?
No, this is just
No,
a
I've
joke.
never heard the Asian Jew
Yeah.
I've never
airline
heard
joke
either.
by Louis.
Okay, well, can
Just
you let me
let
tell
it
the
happen.
joke?
Just
All right,
let it
go
happen.
ahead.
So Jewish pilot, Asian co-pilot.
Wait, hold on. Is this from the movie Airplanes?
No, I
Airplanes.
found it online.
Or I'm sorry, Airplane and Airplane 2?
It's not.
Yes.
It's not. It's no.
Thank you, Blake, for the.
God damn. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So they get up to altitude, but they haven't talked to each other, right?
Okay.
So the Asian.
Why
co-pilot,
haven't they talked to each other?
I think he's getting to that.
The Asian co-pilot decides to break the silence, right? And so
All
he
right, what does he
goes.
say?
He goes, hey, he's got to do it. So I want to talk to you.
Go ahead.
He go, how you do today? And so the Jewish pilot kind of turns to me and goes, look, man, I don't like Japanese people. After what you guys did to Pearl Harbor and it's just not right. And the Asian pilot turns to him and goes, what? I'm not Japanese, I'm Chinese. And the Jewish pilot turns to him and goes, Japanese, Chinese, Vietnamese, it's all the fucking same to me, right?
Well,
So they're sitting there,
why
right?
is the Jew so mean?
Well, can you stop and listen?
No. I
So-
think this
so
is
then-
a misrepresentation of the
So
Jewish
then the
people.
so then the Asian person.
Can you replace him with a Christian person?
No, it doesn't make sense if he's Christian. So then the Asian person, the Asian pilot, he goes, I don't like your people for what you did to the Titanic. And he goes, what? That wasn't juice. That was an iceberg. He goes, Rosenberg, Gothenburg, iceberg. They're all the same to me.
Okay, actually, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's good, right?
It's
Well, sure
probably
you
not
know.
funny if you don't know who those people are, though.
Racism is fun.
That racism is not fun. Okay.
Anyway,
transitioning.
friends.
So, okay, I think.
Oh yeah, we haven't got to
Stupid,
DEF
so we-
class. Which
All right,
is
you
like
know what? No, this is
D-
becoming pick 5.
No,
no,
DEF.
shut it down! Shut it down!
DEF is like where you get to. It's like the school shooter or somebody.
The one guy in the corner.
You're like, you are so nice to him when you are in class, but the moment you step out, you're like, no, fuck no, don't talk to me. Like you're gonna be like,
But he's
hey.
gonna remember you.
Yeah,
when-
yeah. He's gonna be like, hey, bud.
Don't
I
come
got
to school.
He's like, don't come to school. I'm like, way ahead of you. Already.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's like, I got 2 sawed-offs, a Tech 9, and a couple pipe bombs. You in? It's like, nope.
What is a
Fuck
pipe?
no.
What is a pipe bomb?
It's a bomb made out of a pipe.
So just PVC pipe?
It can be varied based
Could
on
be
the technological
PVC pipe or lead
expertise you
pipe
have.
or whatever.
Then you usually fill it with screws or
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You can
Oh.
do all sorts of things.
So it's just like a grenade, but in a PVC pipe.
It's an IED.
Sure.
IED stands for what?
improvised
International
explosive
Everyday
device.
Improvised.
Improvised explosive device.
Yes.
So like a Molotov cocktail is a.
Yeah, technically.
It's kind of cheap, but yeah,
So,
it's more of an incendiary device.
But I mean, you said IED is an involuntary explosive.
It's involuntary. It's involuntary enema discharge. Actually,
That's really
Oh,
gross.
you made it worse.
All right, Zach. What are your friends? How do you define your friends?
Well, it's definitely more relaxed than these two fellas here.
Yeah, good. Everybody on your.
I don't really.
Fuck you anyways.
know. I've got a pretty small friend group. I'd say that.
okay, when you say small friend group, do you mean that it's like numerically small,
No, no,
or
no,
that they're all small like you?
That's hurtful. But like
legitimate question.
out
Continue.
of out
He
of,
fucking laughed. How is that hurtful?
I'm offended by it. Zach, so what do you
Oh,
define?
I get it, because your small friend groups includes your testicles and your penis, right? That's
Yes.
because they're both small.
Yes.
It's like 2 marbles and
Yes.
a tic tac or something. It's-
Yes. My penis is the size of a Tic Tac. You got it, John.
It's basically a clitoris at that point, right?
Zach, what are your friends?
Too soon.
Two.
Well, he's talking about transitioning back to friends.
Yeah, that's very true. Transitioning.
Yeah.
So
Continue.
Zach, what are your? I'm gonna ignore these two people. Zach, what are your friends?
I'd say I got like 20-ish.
I don't care how many friends you have.
But you want to know the definition?
Definition of friends.
What do
you got to
define
count
as
how
a
many
friend?
friends you had.
I just started counting to 18.
I would
I should
say
have stopped at like 4 or something.
I would say friends is considered anybody that you see on a fairly consistent basis that you feel somewhat attached to.
You see physically or like communication?
Just
Because like Zach, I
communication.
actually.
So are you
I don't
friends
think
with
we
the people
barely-
you
I-
work
we
with?
See each other.
Are you friends with everyone you work with? Because I'll tell you right
Yes.
now, man, I've worked at jobs before where there are people who I saw on a regular basis and had an attachment to, but I fucking hated them.
Yeah.
Right, but
Yeah.
I am friends with everyone I work with, but that's because I feel a
Oh,
degree
well,
of
aren't you
attachment to
fucking
them.
special?
It's
Yeah, but you're not going to
that's
hang
the
out
other-
with them outside of work though.
That's no. Sometimes I have.
Well, then you got lucky.
Like
Yeah.
as a group, as like a hey,
sometimes
let's all
as
go
a
after
group,
work.
and sometimes as on individual basis.
Wow.
It just depends. But you know, there's the extra part of friends because I can say I can define friends as what I did, but the other person has to reciprocate too based on their standard,
Okay.
which makes it a
So,
lot more
like-
complicated to define.
So like the real question I'm trying to get at, all your deep dark girly secrets, who do you tell that to? What level of friendship do you have to tell that to? Because you're not going to tell your coworkers.
Is
your
that
deep
an
dark-
A-class friend? See,
Sure,
this is
A-class
why we
friend.
have the classification system.
I don't.
Because like I feel like I'm friends with a lot of people. Like you're friendly, you know, you can have a conversation. You may message or see every now and then. But like I'm talking about like your deep dark fantasies that you only know, and then you reveal this information to.
Like where
Well,
you
say
like
it
fingers
slower.
during
Say it slower.
intercourse.
I would start off
like
by
where
saying,
you like fingers during intercourse. That's
oh my
Yes.
god, John.
yes,
I
Zach,
would say that I don't have very many secrets. in
I don't
the first
care.
place.
Just if you have a dream about like flying in an airplane and then a sex doll falls on you and then you get knocked out of the airplane and you fall into a lake full of alligators.
that's going to be something that gets reserved to like best friends.
That's what I'm saying. So what do you classify as best friends or A-class
A
friends?
best friend would be someone that I've known for a very long time.
Oh, so time.
Couldn't-
So you can't
I-
become best friend. You don't think you'd be best friends with someone you just recently met?
Well, so I've
John,
I had like
kicking the table.
I had a friend that I became sort of best friends with around freshman year of college, but it was a period
talking
of
about
over like
a month.
3 months. No, I think it takes at least 3 months
A
to
week.
sort of kind of no
A day.
No,
Blake, we were best friends in the first day I saw you.
I was best friends with you when you made your off-colored mayonnaise sperm joke. That's when I knew.
Wait, at Jason's Deli?
What?
Yeah. So you were like messing around with the mayonnaise packets at the like bagging
I'm
area
going to
for it to
censor
go.
this story for
Right.
for deliberation.
But you said something about I think you like stepped on a mayonnaise packet and you're like, oh, I come out my feet or whatever, and I was like, that's when I knew this is the
It's
guy.
gonna happen.
Yep.
It's gonna happen.
every
This is the
time
guy-
we touch, I get this feeling. Every time we kiss, I swear I could fly.
I mean, I don't know about that far.
But yeah, that's when I knew. And you definitely did a good job early on at Jason's at being the aggressor in terms of that. You know, you were much more talkative than I was.
yeah, Yuval is definitely the aggressor.
And-
Yeah, he's a
in terms
go
of our
getter.
friendships.
And-
He's a
Yeah,
go
and-
getter.
I really,
Aw, thanks, guys.
I really didn't have a choice. You know.
No, take that back.
No,
You
I'm
had a
saying
choice.
no, I'm saying like I was drawn to you on a comedic level, and then you started asking really outlandish, deep,
personal. Yeah,
yeah, and I was
I'm,
like,
like,
I don't
in
know, I don't know why I should
I'm
be
in it.
telling this guy these things
Yeah.
or discussing this, but why not?
yeah, dude.
And then
I
it just
got that
it
charisma.
snowballed, you know.
I want to know what's inside your brain, except for John. You're my DEF friend, John.
Don't even fucking try, friend. If there are 60 people in this library, my Glock holds
I've seen
15
that video.
rounds. And I have 8 clips. How long will it take me to clear this entire place? I don't know,
I
man.
don't know.
Like the numbers, they don't work in my head. If there are 60 people in this library, my Glock holds 15 bullets. How long will it take to clear it out? Let's start subtracting. Oh my god!
I saw that Facebook video. It was really funny. It was really funny. All right. Now that we have a clear definition of what we view friends, obviously, we're gonna move on to a topic because I want to move on to a topic. Does anyone have any last minute input on friends?
Y'all are gay friends.
I think that's a classification. You can have gay friends
Of course, you can have gay friends.
unless you're like.
Why does that
Muslim
even
or
matter?
something.
Yeah. Okay.
What, you
next
can't
topic.
have gay
next
friends.
topic.
Yuval?
I don't know. Muslims can't have gay friends.
Of course they can.
Mormons can't have gay friends.
Of course they fucking can.
Hasidic Jews can't have gay friends.
I'm not gonna block you there.
Out of all of the why is it that we can shit talk the Jews, but everybody else you got to be, PC?
Because y'all have
Because
proven
you're
that
a
y'all
Jew.
can take it.
What is that supposed to mean, Blake?
We can.
Oh,
only-
I don't know. Let's look at all
I
of
am
the...
moving on.
No.
Moving on.
Let's make this very clear, podcast viewers. We only make fun of things that we know we can because we have someone that's of that. So we have a Jew. We got I don't know, anybody can pretend to be Christian. We got a Hispanic, technically.
That's
bullshit.
What? No.
yeah.
Oh,
Mexican
John,
American.
I'm Cherokee,
I'm
Native
sorry?
American.
Hey, Zapoteca.
Without saying my last name. You remember my last name, right?
Yeah.
Mauricio.
Yeah, he's Hispanic.
I thought it was Italian.
Well, yeah. It
What?
sure sounds like it's Italian.
Is it Italian or Hispanic?
Well,
Mauricio.
one side of the family is supposedly Italian, but
It's
but
basically
they're
the
descendants
same.
from- But then it's at one point they were at Mexico.
He make
so
a the
it's-
enchilada with a pizza.
honestly. But I'm Mexican American on the birth certificate, so
Oh, really?
yeah.
Wow. That's
College
awesome.
is going good for you.
Hey, by the way, did you know that Louis C.K. was born in Mexico?
Yes.
Yeah, but he's a Hungarian Jew.
Yeah, his last name is actually Sukie.
Yeah. Gicle.
Gicle, excuse me.
You're good. That's why he says C.K.
Yeah.
It sounds like she. Moving on. What's your next topic here, pal?
No, I want to talk about Jews a little more.
Okay.
All right.
Nah.
Jerry Seinfeld's having a new.
Yeah,
Trust
Netflix
me.
special.
Yeah.
Nah.
I'm
Looking forward to
excited-
that.
I'm excited for it.
Eh.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, eh?
You don't like Jerry Seinfeld?
I don't like Jerry
Ba-doom,
Seinfeld.
boom, boom, ba-doom, boom, boom, ba-doom, boom, boom,
I feel like-
ba-doom, boom,
Boom, boom.
I feel like he's gonna do it, and it's gonna be really underwhelming. It's not that I don't like him. I think it's just gonna be really underwhelming.
I don't really care for Seinfeld.
All right, so I'm going to turn off Zach's mic for the rest of the podcast. I'm going to turn off John's mic for the. I'm just kidding.
I'm just
Hashtag
I don't
free
want to
speech.
be optimistic about it and then just be shot down because it's
So-
happened so much. you
So
know?
actually, you know what? This is a good segue. Talking about free speech. Why not? Let's do it. We
Yeah,
can
sure,
bring
let's
up
do it. Free speech. What about it?
I think all of us kind of agree on that, no?
No, I don't.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Nah.
What?
Free speech is limited. It can't be free.
I guess I don't understand.
All right, Blake, bring it on.
Okay, so we're what I'm talking about here is with reference to the recent events at Charlottesville. When we're talking about
Oh,
does
just
hate-
kidding. I'm totally for free speech
Does-
to any capacity.
Does hate speech classify as free speech?
Yes.
It's not a thing.
Yes.
Hate speech is not a thing.
What do you mean it's not a thing?
No,
It's
I-
not a
It's a
thing.
Of course, it's a thing. It's an umbrella. It's a subcategory of free speech, but
No.
Yes,
I-
it
Hate
is.
speech
No, I
is
don't think
hate
hate
speech
speech is
is
a thing.
language that's specifically designed to dehumanize groups of people.
boom.
Yeah.
How do you not think that's hate?
Because it's not. It doesn't have a. You can't measure it. You can't say this is hate. Hate speech is objective.
Well, certain
So-
epithets can certainly be labeled. I mean,
Yeah, but then that's not really anything to do with free speech. That's just social consequences of free speech.
look, here's the thing: is that free speech has technically in the United States never existed, right? I mean, we've already had since the beginning of the country in 1789, we had the Alien and Sedition Acts.
Oh, look at me! I know when the country started.
This country was founded in 1783. Well, that's
Oh,
when the
look at-
Constitution was formed.
Look at
The Articles
me.
of Confederation.
Yeah, the Articles
Look
of
at me.
Confederation.
I'm so great.
Yeah, great. Anyways, but then in 1917, there was an anti-war socialist who was arrested for handing out pamphlets at a barracks saying, "Hey, don't join up."
Yeah,
fight
and that
the
was
war."
wrong.
What do you mean that was wrong?
Okay, well,
For that, he should be arrested for exercising his First Amendment right of protest.
Okay, hold
Yeah.
on. Hold on. So let's bring it back to Charlottesville. Those people obviously spewing out all this hate. We're not going to call it hate speech, but we're just going to say it's hate and segregation and all those ideas in themselves. Should they have been punished if it didn't get violent? If they stayed to
No.
Well,
I mean, here's my thought process. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
So my thought process is, if you want to stand in the middle of the street and shout racial epithets, you should be able to. But a cop should be able to beat you for that.
so
Wait, what?
you think within
Free speech with a consequence, because that's what
Okay.
we've always had. Right?
Yeah, well, but I mean, what? Who's to say if you start beating on Nazis for spewing out Nazi things that some civil rights advocate or something will?
Well, that's already happened. Civil rights protesters were beat down for trying to advocate for
You're
civil
right,
rights.
and that was wrong. That's not. None
Right.
of us agree with that. And
right.
so,
But what I'm saying is that there's sort of like this double standard, right?
Mhm.
Is that progressive left wing speech or whatever is usually comes with a consequence.
I think it's the exact opposite nowadays.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Where
Look at college campuses all around the country where you're having riots in Berkeley because some alt-right moron like Milo Yiannopoulos shows up and you have a protest. The ironic thing is Antifa is anti-fascist or whatever, but their strategies in terms of limiting free speech is ultimately a product of fascism. It's
no, I mean fascism is a specific set of political goals, right? Methods don't.
what is the definition
goals.
of fascism? I think we should
Fascism.
start there.
Okay, so if we want to use Mussolini, straight from the horse's mouth, Mussolini says that fascism it should more accurately be called corporatism because it describes a merger of corporation and state. It calls for an authoritarian, usually dictatorship, to bring about a consolidation of capital and its interests by use of violence in order to suppress labor movements and minorities, in order to make sure that capitalists and their profits are secure.
Okay, so
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's go with and here's the definition from Merriam-Webster: a political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and often race above the individual, that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of opposition.
Okay.
So look at, and I'm going to go back to Berkeley a couple of times, but look at Berkeley. And so you have people trying to suppress Milo, and I don't agree with all of what he says, but...
Right, but suppression in and of itself does not make fascism, right? You have to meet... I mean, it's like...
It's governmental oppression, right?
Well, no. Antifa
No,
is
social.
not a government
Right, but they
body.
are using and trying to create an atmosphere where the government can come in and step in and suppress you for what you say and stop anybody from saying anything that they don't agree with. I think we can agree on that. That's what Antifa is trying to do. If not, then they wouldn't be doing all of those things.
I mean, let's not try and make this sound like it's like just anything, right?
I specified it in terms of what they don't agree with.
Right?
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. The line for how you define what people describe as quote hate speech is blurred. It can't be defined because it's objective to one single person. You have one college that says this is hate speech and they have safe spaces and safe zones for that kind of speech. Then you have another college on the West Coast or East Coast that has a different opinion on that. Go south and you have a different opinion on that. So that's what I'm saying. There's not a defined line that says this is hate speech and this is not. This is okay.
Yeah,
and
because
this
it's
is
social.
not.
Social based.
So in
You're
Germany,
right. So
in Germany, Holocaust denial is illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you think that is an overstep on free speech?
I think when you're comparing,
I'll come back to that.
Well, I just real quick, I wanted to make a point. I think when you're comparing here to European countries, I think you look at Germany, you look at France, you look at wherever. I think the whole country is a single identity. When you go to France, well, at some point, I'm not sure if it's current or whatever, but I know at some point, to be a French citizen, you need to be Catholic, you need to speak French. And you go to Germany, and you
don't have to be Catholic to be.
Oh, you don't have to be.
No.
Okay, well, I know it's like at some point you had to had some following of their religion, along with speaking the language, and so same thing. I wouldn't say same thing with Germany, but you go to these countries and you say, okay, a German. When you think of German, you think of they're generally the same idea. When I think of German, I have a different opinion about that, but it's a unified country. Whereas, what is an American? Okay, well, you can have a West Coast American, an East Coast American, a Southern American.
Germany, for example, is very divided. This is just
an example of we're not there, so we can't possibly understand it. Because I mean, you can just Wikipedia a European country and see that they are also very subdivided into many.
Have you seen separatist parties in Europe? I mean, they're vocal, right? Catalonia doesn't consider itself part of Spain. Bavaria is colloquially referred to as the Texas of Germany, right? They're very independent. If you ask a Bavarian person where they're from, they'll say, "Ich bin bayerisch," right? I'm Bavarian, not I'm German, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But see, there's a lot that you can't know because we're not there. We only see what we've kind of assumed from stereotypes in media and stuff that we've consumed over our time here.
Since the Second World War,
which is going to be inaccurate. We just aren't there.
Since the Second World War, nationalism has kind of been tinged in Europe. So now they're much more regionalistic, right?
That's why the EU became a really big thing. And now everybody has free movement along all those states, which kind of blurs the lines between them.
Right. You have a focus on internationalism in terms of trade, but regionalism in terms of identity. So people identify with the state or the province they're from, and they have, in terms of how they want to interact with other people in other nations, they are definitely internationalists about that.
But I feel like we're getting really off track from this, because I see that we've got two people that are something about free speech, that, but I guess I'm on a different page, because
why are you on a different page, Zach?
My understanding of like the Charlottesville stuff isn't that hate speech should be allowed, or like what defines it or whatnot. It's just that you have, like, if you're thinking strictly of the First Amendment, it's you have the right to free speech,
peaceful assembly,
blah blah blah. But there's a qualifier in it, and I can't remember it exactly. But I'm pretty sure
it's like
you can't
incite violence, or you can't be having speech that would be a result of that. And
so then bringing it back to hate speech, if you're saying, hey, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, that's gonna, I hate to use this word.
It's not that hate speech in itself that incites violence. It's what they're having speech from. And so
exactly. So if I'm a neo-Nazi and you're Jew,
you're like the neo-Nazi ideology is founded on violence and genocide.
Right. So if I'm
therefore
saying
that's
go Nazis,
not free speech,
then,
because
it's going to quote unquote trigger.
It doesn't matter
somebody.
what they're saying, because their ideology is founded on that
You're
violence.
referencing and trying to incite violence.
But I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if that's a real thing.
Say that again. You're not a what?
I'm not a lawyer, so
say that again.
I'm not gonna say that again.
You're a lawyer.
So
not a lawyer.
Actually, here's something else to also.
Blake,
I guess,
what are you?
What am I?
What are you? Are you a lawyer?
I'm a lawyer.
There you go. John, are you a lawyer?
I'm a lawyer.
There you go. John said it right. Blake said it right. I said it right.
That
lawyer.
It's kind of a southern twang to it. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I don't.
I think it's charming.
Unify.
All right. Hey. So
you can't. We're suppressing you from using that word now.
I'm gonna bleep you every time you use that word.
But anyway, with other hate speech though, stuff that may not be like neo-Nazis, where you're rooted in violence, where it's just something that people may not like.
So if I'm just a white guy saying "fuck Jamaicans,"
no, not that necessarily. But if you have an opinion on something that someone else may not agree with, and so, it could be an opinion that is so polarizing.
That
you're
sounds
talking about
really 1984ish to me.
No, but you're talking about an opinion, but like, it's one thing to have opinion about a banana. It's another thing about having opinion about a person. If I think certain people should have certain liberties and certain characteristics, blah 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 blah. Well, I don't think that's under the same umbrella of saying I don't think chairs should have wheels or something. It's different. So I think getting back to for the comparison to like the neo-Nazi thing, I think that is to incite. So if I'm talking about people, race, I think that would incite some type of, I don't know, an extreme sort of violence, but I wouldn't think that would necessarily fall under that umbrella.
But at the same time, the government doesn't have to step in for a lot of hate speech, except for when it was something like neo-Nazis rooted in violence, in my opinion, because that goes against the First Amendment, at least from what my understanding is. But other forms of things that people don't agree with, well, then the government doesn't have to suppress that, because the people
look
the people root out, be like, oh, you're a neo-Nazi, you're not allowed in my restaurant, private property or whatever. There's something, they figure out that a manager is a neo-Nazi and they fire him. There's consequences.
There's a distinct difference between someone just like, hey, faggot or whatever. Like, faggot is an epithet, right? But at the same time, I mean, that's one thing, as opposed to saying, burn all Jews or whatever, right? I mean, there's one that's
triggered me.
Yeah, there's one that's specifically designed to incite, to invoke a certain history, and try and incite something in there. And here's the other thing that we could probably discuss as well. What about platforms, right? So let's say you have the right to free speech. Let's take that for granted. Do you have the right to a platform? Because that's different.
What do you mean a platform? Like just a political party?
No, as in like,
someone giving you a chance to speak to a large audience,
right?
Kind of platform.
Right.
Well, that's up to you.
Well, okay,
you need to work. That's up to the individual person.
I'm saying like a public university. Like, say if Milo Yiannopoulos wanted to go into the street and start talking just out in the middle of the street,
sure.
Okay, that's one thing.
That's government.
But to give him an audience in an auditorium
private,
where he's got a podium, yeah.
Well, that's a student group. Okay. A student group at that university is funding it, is reserving
Right,
that.
but the dean of that university has the ultimate authority.
Well,
You're right, and
Yeah, private.
if that dean decides to shut that down, I don't agree with that.
I think
okay,
he has-
hold on.
I think
It
he
is
has
a
right.
private. It is
I-
a private university. Do
I-
what you want. I don't have to agree with it.
I think if it's so we're all under the same opinion where if it's in a controlled environment where you've pre-established what this is going to be, you've sent a notice, you've sent an understanding to have an open platform, I think that's right. We can all agree that's okay, that's fine, even if it's about hate speech, even if it's a controlled discussion or just having
How can you have a controlled discussion about stuff that fascists want to talk about? I mean,
Well,
that's the whole point.
Yeah,
That's
like-
what they want, right? I mean,
Right.
having a civil discussion about whether or not we need certain races, that's normalizing fascist rhetoric, right?
Yeah,
Well,
that
but
would
if
be
it-
acknowledging them as a real thing, even though
but they
they're
are a
not.
real thing.
But
The-
they,
the idea
shouldn't
is still-
be
No, but
socially.
okay, but recognizing that these kinds of people exist versus that they are a real political force that we have to respect are two different things, right?
Well, why would we? There's no way a fascist group would be able to take a foothold in our politics.
Really? Because Germany had that similar problem. I
Yeah.
Well,
There's actually a whole book about it.
Talking here.
There's actually a whole book about it called "It Can't Happen Here" by Sinclair Lewis, which
And then-
describes exactly
Hello,
that
we
situation.
have Donald Trump. Oh, it can't happen.
And
then
I
we
think
have-
that's an extreme. That's an extreme comparison. You can't compare.
Well,
Donald Trump to
here's
fascism.
here's what I want to say. At least, I mean, whether or not you agree with Donald Trump, he is an example of having a platform get someone somewhere, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah, I'm not
he
comparing
was
him to a fascist. I'm saying someone that you think would never have a foothold.
right,
There would
right.
be
But,
something-
but,
but
what I'm
even-
saying is that with Donald Trump, he was originally considered a joke, right? You know, people were like, "Come on, Donald Trump really running for president?"
South Park
and for
did a thing on it.
and yeah, South Park did a
joke.
thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
understand.
John Oliver was like, "Do it! Everyone wants to see you run because it's a joke, right?" But we gave him a platform for 16 months
Sure.
until he eventually became
But
president.
I think
So-
that's not a fair comparison because one,
It's absolutely a fair comparison.
it's not because one, Donald Trump was riding the coattails of the Republican Party. He was able to cater his campaign, his ideology, his whatever his promises. He was able to tailor that to the Republican Party, which drew votes from that pool. If he was like, "I'm Donald Trump, I'm running as an independent," he wouldn't have won. There's no way in the world he would have won.
Okay, so in that
And so-
case, does Bernie Sanders joining the Democratic Party mean that he is now delegitimized instead of running as an independent?
I wouldn't say he's delegitimized, but to win. In this case, and I'm not going to speak about Germany and wherever because you've obviously proven my ignorance. But in here specifically, because we are so divided in that political sense, you're not going to win as okay. I say that now. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But tailoring to the Republican Party, if you were a fascist and you were trying to run for president, I don't think you'd necessarily tie yourself to or you'd be obviously outed as a fascist if you were running in the Republican or Democratic Party. There's no way that you'd be someone saying
if you ran as a blatant neo-Nazi, yes, but that's the thing about fascism is that fascism, I mean, not all fascism looks the same, right? I mean, you can't say that Brazilian integralism looked the exact same as German Nazism, the same way that it didn't look the same as Italian fascism. It didn't look the same as Portuguese, the Estado Novo, right?
Right.
There were
'Cause all
different
forms of government are different. It's just that they have core values that
right, and they
Well, but-
appeal to different sympathies and different prejudices and different populations.
We're branching off from what we were originally talking about and saying if we give fascism and fascism, neo-Nazis, whatever it is, we give them an open platform to discuss and debate. I think that's totally fine because let them express their ideas and let them.
Like I'm saying, Donald Trump was originally considered a joke, and then we gave him a platform for 16 months, and he's become president.
But again, your comparison to Donald Trump and fascism is totally it's unfounded.
It's the same.
No, it's not the same because
I'm not trying to equate Donald Trump to a fascist in this sense.
but
I'm saying that if
they're
you give
extreme
someone a
opposites, though.
platform,
Right.
if you give someone a platform, they will attract.
Okay,
people.
what are Donald Trump's ideas? Let's just back out, take a step back. What are his ideas? Okay, he's a pro-lifer. Okay,
build a wall on the Mexican border?
sure. Okay, build. So immigration and border control.
Or actually, he
pro-lifers.
kind of went back on that a couple of weeks ago with the whole DACA thing. So
Oh,
he's actually
sure.
pulling out about that.
That's
one,
true.
so.
That's true.
because of the impracticality of it.
Well,
yeah,
right.
Well,
but-
no, it's not even that. It's just I think that he's first of all, Yuval was absolutely right whenever he said that he ran with the Republican Party. He was a lifelong Democrat
Yeah.
up until 5 minutes before he went on that stage for the
That's
Republican
true.
primaries.
I mean, he was.
So we're now seeing what he actually wants to do in terms of, you saw Ann Coulter get really upset about who Ann Coulter was sucking Trump's dick for 16 months. And when he finally wants to keep going with DACA, she's like, yo, this is not what I voted for. This is not the man that I wanted to be in office. And we don't know what else he's going to do that will portray his following that he thought would just follow him anywhere.
Right.
So
and to go off of what Blake's saying, I'm trying to say, if you have fascism, okay, I think maybe a good third of the people in this country don't know what fascism means. Okay, I think they have either a misconstrued idea of what it is. Okay, if you open up the curtains and you say this is fascism, this is what it's all about, this is the monster behind the curtain, I think people are, and again, I'm and I can't predict the future.
But here's the thing. Again, modern fascists don't usually refer to themselves as. I mean, there are definitely people who refer to themselves as blatant neo-Nazis. But I mean, if you look at, say, for example, Golden Dawn, which is a fascist party in Greece,
Okay.
right? They know there's a stigma attached to neo-Nazism, so they say, no, we're not fascists, we're nationalists, right?
Okay, yeah.
So they will rebrand themselves, right?
Okay, but even then, you rebrand themselves, and you just have, and again,
I mean, that was the original point of.
People can't see past that, dude.
Right, I mean,
it's been proven time again with, especially in American politics, people cannot see past.
Yeah,
the curtain.
and in Germany,
What do you
Germany,
mean,
for
see
example,
past what?
The curtain that you're referring to, where
They can't see
when
through the veil.
when they go on the open platform, people will see them for who they truly are.
But there's
That's
a veil.
never happened.
Yeah, no, I mean, in Germany, the Nazi Party named itself the National Socialist Party in order to draw in a crowd. They say, no, we're not these fascist types or whatever. We're National Socialists, right? We want this. I mean, socialism had much more popular appeal at the time, right? But he said, we want socialism, but I think for Germans, right?
German was so under duress at that point. You have.
Are we not under duress now? I mean, we have.
I don't think we are.
We have one of the largest We have the greatest recession since the Great Depression.
What are you talking about?
I mean, you had that.
We're not even.
Our economy has bounced back. Yes,
we are not even close to having anywhere near the 2008 recession or even the 1940s Great Depression, or sorry, 1930s. We're not even close. Have you looked at?
I understand that we've had a bounce back in terms of where the economy is, but you also have to understand that in a lot of places that economy bounce back has been in the financial sector.
Right.
It hasn't been in the real wages of people working. Right. I mean, if you
I think wages
we're
Getting off track.
I like where this is going. If you're talking about wages,
wages versus productivity,
there's a
wages
discussion.
have stagnated while productivity has gone up.
Okay, and that's
So-
a bad
so-
thing.
so-
Why?
That's just wealth inequality at this point.
It's
Sure,
income
okay.
inequality.
Right.
And what I'm saying is that
Where-
even if the
where our
economy
is growing,
even if the economy has bounced back, it doesn't mean I mean, you can say the GDP has grown, but has the GDP per capita grown? Because if you still have people who are unemployed or underemployed or
we're
in a
at like the
desperate situation,
lowest unemployment rate ever.
okay, then what about underemployment? You've ever heard of that term? It's an economics term where
Yes,
you
I
say you
understand.
have a job and you
Right.
still can't make ends meet,
Right.
You are still going to be driven to radicalism if you cannot make ends meet.
But
That's
you're
why.
talking about-
That's why in 2016 we didn't have two boring sticks in the mud like Mitt Romney, right, coming back up versus some John Kerry type or whatever. We did have populists on both sides: Bernie Sanders for the Democrats and Donald Trump for the Republicans. They were both populist candidates who came from outside their political establishment and mobilized massive crowds of people who otherwise were not going to get involved in politics. You can't say that we do not have a different political dynamic now post Great Recession than we do in the early 2000s or from the heyday of the 90s, back when everything was great and America was on top of the world.
I think you can make an argument for that because one, look. Do you remember how many Republican candidates versus Democratic candidates we had this election?
We had 5 Democrats, but really 2.
Right, exactly.
And Republicans, you had. I mean, people don't remember
right?
this.
9.
Yeah, 9 or so. And people don't remember that Donald Trump was not the initial frontrunner. Jeb Bush was, up until basically the media just kind of blacked him
I don't know
out.
if Jeb Bush was a front runner.
Jeb
I think
Bush-
it was probably
It was,
Yeah.
Jeb
no,
Bush-
it was Jeb,
and then
Cruz, and then Trump.
Yeah.
Was it really?
He said a
Yeah.
few things that were dumb, and then the media was just like,
And give Trump credit for ruining his political campaign as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Jeb
Bush had that.
I mean, I was vying for Jeb Bush as a Republican. So.
Jeb Bush had that thing where he's like, "Please clap," and the media just made that a meme, and ever since then, he just
a huge meme. He was a huge meme. Well, no, but what I'm saying.
We were on platforms, whether they should be given platforms, and this is where my confusion comes again, because if we're talking about neo-Nazis in particular, the people that incite violence or whatnot, at least in my opinion, no, they should not be given a platform, because they already don't have, their speech is not free because it's inciting violence based on genocide, yada yada. So why
should Antifa have a platform then?
I don't really know about Antifa, to be honest. I don't know what. I've heard about them. I don't know what they are. I know they got classified as terrorists, so probably not, since it's violent.
Okay.
Real quick, hold on. Real quick, I'm going to put a pin in what we were talking about in terms of the economy, because I'm super interested in that. But what I want to just get across before anything else, if you give fascists, the Golden Sons, whatever, you give whatever movement a closed environment at a university to have an open debate, that's not going to start a political movement. That's going to say, oh, we're going to add a third party, or now the fascists are going to run as Republicans, because you're obviously going to see through that. I don't think, yes, a lot of Americans are stupid. Yes, a lot of Americans are stuck in their ways. But I think the majority of us are able to point out and say, hey, this guy has fascist ideals.
You've heard of the Tea Party, right?
Yes, I know who the Tea Party is.
Yeah,
yes.
You remember back in like 2008 when John McCain was the candidate for the Republicans, or even before that, when Republicans were still, Reaganite type Republicans.
Right.
And then all of a sudden the Tea Party came in and fundamentally changed the politicians that the Republican Party were putting out, right? You had guys like Herman Cain, ladies like Michelle Bachmann. You had some very different personalities coming up as a result of the Tea Party essentially cannibalizing the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
You act like, parties in America cannot take on a certain group.
I agree with you that ideas are very fluid in that sense, but the Tea Party is not anywhere close to the extreme.
Oh no,
ideas.
I'm not arguing about their extremity in terms of where they are.
But
on
I
the
think
left or
when
right.
you add in, it's intellectually dishonest to say that just because this group did it and proved that they can make a change, this group also has that same power and authority.
Okay, I don't think that's true. Let's talk about Reagan then, because you got to remember Reagan. He was termed the Reagan Revolution. Before then, Republicans under Richard Nixon, I mean, they were mostly known as Rockefeller Republicans. They were as what we know today is kind of liberal, right? Republican candidates and presidents like Dwight Eisenhower had tax rates up in the 90s for the highest 1% of income earners. Richard Nixon started the EPA. I mean, there was a fundamental shift in terms of where the Republicans went with the introduction of Ronald Reagan, right?
Sure.
He mobilized the moral majority. He brought in Reaganomics, right?
Right.
He fundamentally changed the party's platform.
The party's platform has changed
right, but what I'm saying
three
is
or four times in the past.
What I'm saying is that people,
but that's all within the realm.
I'm saying that groups can still fundamentally change the party platform.
That's all within
Reagan
the realm
did it.
Of...
The Tea Party did it. Donald Trump did it.
And
Donald Trump did not change the basic ideals of the Republican Party.
There are people that don't understand that the party's flipped. Like people,
exactly.
There are people that don't understand.
But
the Democrats were enslaved.
I don't believe in the big flip.
Those were actually Republicans at the time. But
I
can't see past it.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying, all these changes within the Republican Party, there are changes in the sphere of reality, in the sphere of realism, where you have your big core concepts, taxes, government spending, export, import, all that kind of stuff. Pretty much everything that relates to GDP. Everyone has ideas within that.
But immigration is like a very easy target to kind of blur the line on, right? I mean, take for example, you say we want to boot out 11 million illegal immigrants. You could very easily have someone, some alt-right guy say we want to deport all illegals and have qualifications for citizenship based on ethnicity, right? That is, I mean, it's a pretty extreme proposal, but compared to let's boot out all immigrants and have sort of like a racial profiling or whatever, which is what we effectively have now. It's not a massive leap, right? I mean, it is a step, yes, but it's not a massive leap.
Because if you look at the scale or the political scale, you have your super left, super right, Democrats, Republicans, so on and so forth. From there, I think fascists and those movements are so off the scale that it wouldn't function in a current political system.
That's exactly how fascism comes to power. People don't believe that
They
it
don't
can.
believe that it can, and then it does.
Sinclair
Happened in
Lewis wrote a book
happened
about
in-
this. It's
happened in
called
Germany,
"It Can't Happen
happened
Here."
in Italy.
And when and you're talking about in the World War II, during that time.
Well, that
Yeah,
was
and during the
before
interwar
Well,
years.
Sure. But that's because if you have a country where literally you need a barrel full of cash to buy bread. I don't know if this literally, but
And-
metaphorically, you need a barrel full of
No,
cash.
you needed a wheelbarrow of cash
to buy bread.
Yeah,
That's
but
that is a prime prime target. You're right.
Whoa. So you have a point here, but I want to keep in mind the timeline here because the wheelbarrows full of cash was in 1923 during the hyperinflation crisis. The Nazis took power in 1932, 9 years later.
Okay.
Or no, sorry, not even 9 years later. That's
It was much later, actually.
no. That's
to
not.
the
That's 9
point.
years later.
But even then, you have this. You have the duress of a country, and you have this continual downfall and this continual spiral. Because, and again, I'm not a history buff. I don't know specifically what's going on. But from the hyperinflation till the rise of the Nazi Party, did anything good happen in Germany?
Yeah.
Germany at all?
Yeah,
Like what?
the hyperinflation stopped roughly in 1925.
Okay.
They actually were able to stabilize their currency. Now,
Okay.
they weren't in a great position because they had been stripped of all of their
Sure.
of the colonies by
Exactly.
by the Entente powers.
Mm-hmm.
So Germany's economic recovery was kind of slow, right?
I think it would be abysmal at that point. I would have to look at charts and stuff like that, but I think it would be horrible.
Yeah, but
It's as if the 2008 the recession that we had, if we didn't recover from that as quickly as we did, I think that would have been a prime time for fascists
But
to
see,
kick in.
once again, it's sort of a we weren't there kind of situation where, yes, nowadays we can look back and be like, oh, of course the Nazis took power. They were in super duress. But we're in our time because, we can read the textbooks and we can see the information but all we see is a few sentences about, oh, hyperinflation and, oh, bad economy. But right now, it's so much more complicated and you can't possibly understand all the things behind it.
you've got a
Because
three-dimensional world around you
because
that
right
you can't
now,
put into
the
text.
reason why we had more radical candidates for our own presidential election
They
for
weren't
Bernie and
radical,
Trump,
though.
They were radical compared to Democrats
for
and Republicans.
for
yes.
what we've had for the past couple of years, those were
But
very much outside.
what was
candidates.
radical about Donald Trump that literally half the other Republican Party wasn't saying?
Build a wall on the border.
Okay, I think that was a campaign.
advocating violence against
saying
other people.
saying if so, you know what happened to the people in the 60s, they got carried out on stretchers. Saying if someone tries to do whatever it was they did at a rally by putting up a sign, knock the crap
he's
out
saying
of
all
them.
this bullshit. But when he got elected and his policies and his agenda.
Okay, wait, we're going past that. Just hold on.
Okay.
So Bernie Sanders, for the first time ever, we got 30% of the popular vote for socialism, and everyone's like, "What, socialism in America? What?"
Well, social democracy,
right,
but
right.
yeah,
Social
Same-
democracy.
Whatever you wanna
same
call it.
thing.
No, not quite, but that's besides the point. So I'm going to
Okay.
call them radical candidates. You can agree to disagree, but let's pretend, right? We can't see the duress that's happening in our own country because we can't tell. We don't have the textbooks yet that make it so easy to see. and
What do you mean?
explain.
We would be able to
No.
signs of duress. Where our dollar, sure, the strength of our dollar is not as strong as what it was back in like the 80s and 90s. Sure, I think we're at like maybe 88 cents to the dollar in terms of exchange rates and stuff like that. Okay, that's not an unreasonable spot for duress. Okay, we have political stability. Okay, we don't have a failing government because. Sure, are we still deficit spending? Or
of course we're deficit spending.
Yeah, the
well,
debt's-
we're okay.
I don't know. At some
Okay,
point in
we
the
are
90s,
we are deficit spending,
but we've cut our deficit spending.
Intelligence,
We've cut which countries aren't deficit spending.
Well, the issue is that our
Or we're the only country in the world that
China
is not
get away
deficit
with it.
spending.
Yeah,
No.
no. China would be deficit spending, but the difference is that China doesn't have a massive national debt. We're indebted to them. We have the national. Remember that debt that keeps growing and we don't have a solution for because it's literally.
Did you listen to our last podcast? John explained why the
really?
debt.
Yeah, I actually did. So actually, the majority of debt in the United States is not to foreign states. It's actually to different departments within the federal government.
Oh,
But-
we owe ourselves.
Yeah. So it's like saying, if you have a travel wallet and your day-to-day wallet and you take $10 out of your regular wallet to put in your travel wallet, okay, well now your travel wallet is $10 in debt to your regular wallet, right?
Right. And the thing is, why do you think treasury bonds you get literally no return? Because it's so safe. There's no way. There's no for the United States or I'm sorry, the Federal Reserve. If you're trying to take a loan from them, why do you think countries still take money from us? Because they know they're going to get their money back.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we're not financially unstable right now.
I think
unstable.
I think that there's duress where we just can't see it, because otherwise, you hear all the rallying cries about the minimum wage because of stagnating wages, and people working double jobs at the lowest. We've got the spread.
Okay.
You've got more than
working double
40.
Who are working double jobs?
I have no idea.
You've got families, people who have families who have kids. That's irresponsibility on their part.
No, you've got 40%, more than 40% of young adults having student loans that they're
student loans is a different conversation.
Okay, well,
But
it's still
duress.
it's still
It's all
duress.
duress.
It's not duress though.
Of course it is. If you have a student loan where you cannot declare bankruptcy in order to get out of it, and you're talking about something that's the size of a mortgage in terms of how much money you're going to have to pay off, and they can garnish your wages.
The size of the mortgage.
Yeah, it is.
Not necessarily.
There are people in this
I don't
country.
have $100,000 in student debt.
There are people who do. There are people who have 80.
And what jobs did they? What is their degree? What is their degree?
I don't know.
Okay, I think this is an important question to ask because one, you have someone who, like me, and I'm not trying to boast myself or anything. I came out, I think maybe under $30,000 of student debt. Okay, student loans, less than that, like maybe 25,000 less than that. Okay, I'm getting, I put myself through to get a technical IT business related degree. Okay, I went through that path degree. What are these people getting? $100,000, $200,000 in debt? Well, I know, for example, Thomas, he's going to have a lot of student debt, but what does he want to be? A freaking doctor. And he's going to make that money up, no problem. It's the people who go...
Ooh, that's where you're wrong.
There's no problem. He doesn't have to worry about it. Sure, it might be an extended period of time, but he's not going to have to worry about that. It's not going to put him in financial instability.
It does
Obama
if he can't make it.
The president, President Obama, in I think it was 2013 or something, he only had paid off his student loans 8 years prior. So he paid it off like during the Bush years.
Okay,
Where do you go to school?
University of Illinois, was it?
I
And
don't know.
Harvard Law.
Harvard Law, yeah.
okay, and so, but the thing, the point that I'm trying to make is that it's all about manageable debt. It's about manageable debt where...
Now we're going into responsibility.
Yeah,
but that's not the point. We're saying whether it's duress or not.
And
it's not duress.
Even if people are making poor decisions and doing liberal arts with and going $50,000 in debt and being like, well, I don't know what I'm doing with life, but I'm $50,000 in debt. It's still duress.
Yeah.
Think about that.
And
you got all this debt and you're trying to find a job. Even people with good degrees have trouble finding jobs.
And something...
That's duress.
Well, then why not put yourself up to make sure that you have a job? Like, enter the job market with skills that people want. If you get your degree in a fucking art or something...
You make that sound a lot easier than it is. Because
it is that easy.
Even people with business degrees like myself, I'm doing healthcare management, there are not that many I can't come out of college and I can have all the skills I want. I can be an international scholar, which I am, for the ACHE, and I still can't get an internship to Children's Hospital.
Yep.
It's that competitive.
And I also...
Okay, that's...
Gotta know from him.
Well,
Are you serious?
hey,
Yeah.
actually...
Wow, that's really shitty.
The job market is incredibly competitive.
Yes.
You're right.
I'm sorry.
But why
That's
make
duress.
why make it worse on yourself by getting a degree that no one is going to hire you
Because
We're
for?
going into irresponsibility again. But look, I'm doing it all right?
Right,
And I
but-
still can't get it.
But
And-
you're going to get it, though.
but-
That's the point.
You're probably right, because I try very hard. I'm going to work hard, but it's still hard, and I'm panicked. Because I'm in my senior year. I need a freaking internship to graduate.
Okay,
and
and
then
so-
I need those connections to get
And
a
so
real
what
job
you
at
get,
the end.
you whenever you graduate, you get a job to pay the bills.
It's
and then-
duress, though.
I don't think,
duress.
but you're thinking at a personal level, sure.
That
Actually...
is what it is.
But not at a national level where fascism can come in and swoop in and change the
you've
mindset.
all. I want to throw something out here.
Sorry, John, you've been trying to interject this whole time.
Yeah,
I'm
I've been
sorry,
trying to say this one thing. Just let me say
go
this
ahead,
one
go ahead.
bit in, and I'll let you guys go back to whatever it is you're doing.
Go ahead.
But I want to keep in mind where you and I grew up in
Yes.
Frisco, Texas. The average income is within the top 10% of income earners in this country.
Okay.
And in the neighborhood where you grew up, the average income is within the top, I think it's 4%.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I know Thomas's parents were within the top 2.
Okay, well that's great for Thomas. But
You're for sure within the top 10 though.
I don't know about that.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Absolutely.
I don't know about that, John. I
You
think
would
you do
have a very
fact check
difficult
those numbers.
You'd have a very difficult time.
I think it's more of just financial responsibility and
I think you
living
would
in a
have-
house and selling a house and
I think you
working
would have
for
an
years and years and
incredibly
years.
difficult
Yeah, but
time
how do you-
living in Frisco if you were not in the top 10% of earners.
That's
in
not
this
true.
country.
That's not
Yes,
true at all.
it
There are
is.
apartments in Frisco that are way able for if someone's making $40,000 to $50,000 a year.
Okay, in your neighborhood, then at least.
Oh, in the neighborhood, sure, you're gonna have. Well, that's a different thing. That's a different thing. $500,000, you take a loan, $500,000. It's way easy to financially manage that. It's just that not a lot of people understand. Not a lot of people understand. I will agree. There is a.
And how many people have the finance degrees in order to be able to understand those?
I only took like an accounting class or 2 accounting classes and a finance class.
And how
A lot
did
of
you
the shit
get
can-
that class? You had to
By going to
pay
school.
for it. Yeah.
Under the pretension that you would have some of your debts handled. Now,
Also-
I
and-
believe you take them all by yourself, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also,
And that's
by
your
the way,
system and stuff.
I
Not
actually
everyone has that backing.
also I looked up the numbers. By the way, that when it last podcast,
Just now?
no, last podcast when I was saying I think the cost of school had gone up 1,700%.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It,
No, I'm not trying to disagree
I was
that
I,
from like the
I,
70s and 80s.
I was wrong there. Since 1980, it has gone up 1,126% till 2016.
No, I understand. No, I'm not
So
trying to disagree.
11 times,
Right.
more than 11 times.
No, I understand, and I'm not trying to disagree with that. But I'm saying it's manageable. It's just the fact
11
that
times the payment is manageable.
yeah, of course.
We as a nation collectively roasted Martin Shkreli like he was a fucking pig in a blanket on a skewer.
Explain who that is.
Martin Shkreli, farmer
Pharmacy
bro,
guy.
Oh,
the guy who jacked up prices 550%.
Yeah.
Look, man, 11 times the cost is pretty fucking big.
No, you're right. But
I mean, imagine if you had to go get a box of tissues.
But-
'cause that was, $1 or something like that, and all of a sudden it was 11. Imagine if gas was 11 times more expensive than it was.
but
right?
those are different. Those are different industries. They're different.
But they're all contributors to duress. Think our healthcare system. Look at how often our healthcare gets talked about.
And-
People
and-
cry
and-
about EpiPens and whatnot because it's things that they need,
Yeah.
but they can't afford them.
You-
These are all signs of duress coming
I think
from
these
And-
are
and
all,
especially-
these are all
It's-
different.
and especially
the
now,
failing coal industry that's literally being subsidized so that it can even operate. I think they're trying to
Is
make
that a
it
thing? Is that
illegal.
really a thing?
yeah, that's why Trump made it such a big election issue. Was talking
one of
about
the coal
coal.
guys is right now, who's Trump's buddy, is trying to get him to make it illegal to close down a coal plant so he can actually keep it running.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's that bad. That's how bad renewables
Damn,
are actually
Blake.
eating.
Our country sucks.
But
What the fuck are you talking about?
They're literally talking about all this. Have you not been listening to all this shit? Our country's in the fucker.
And it's funny because instead of
whatever.
doing retraining and trying to re-educate those workers, which by the way, imagine how many truckers because
automation and the robots. Yeah, oh
cars,
yeah, that's
and
a
then
huge.
the
But that's
collapsing
that's the
natural
thing.
gas and-
Our country has been such a service oriented industry, pushing that service oriented industry. Automation, robots, that's replacing the low hanging fruit. Truck drivers,
and that's all
fast
economic
food.
duress.
I
You're talking-
don't know if that's economic duress. Though.
You're talking
is-
about by 2045 having roughly 40% of all jobs in America be under threat of automation. 40% unemployment. That's 15% more than what we had during the Great Depression. If you're telling me right now that we are not in a precarious position at this very moment,
The replacement of automation, I feel like you're attributing that to being an instant thing.
No, I'm
This
saying-
is
I'm saying-
over the course, because
I'm
when
saying
someone
over the
loses-
course of we're talking about 2045. Right?
sure 2045 from
So
now until 2045.
we're saying 28 years.
You're saying in 28 years people can't find another job.
No, what I'm saying is in 28 years, 40% of Americans are going to be at risk of losing their jobs to a robot.
All right, and at that point, wouldn't you think that they would find a different job or find a more secure job or
How
Go
many
back to
of these
school.
truckers
It's not
or
that
whoever
easy.
could go back and get it?
Truckers and coal miners can't re-educate. That's why they keep.
I don't
trying
think
to keep,
that's true.
They keep trying to keep these things.
Okay,
afloat
so then-
because
then we use-
they're
then we have-
unskilled workers.
Okay, then a government mandate to fund for retraining re-education.
But that's socialism.
Oh, wait. Actually,
Okay, but that's not fascism.
okay. So let
And I
me
agree,
let
that's
me
a great idea, but we don't do that. 'cause
let
the
me-
government's incompetent.
Okay, so then why
let me
can't it be?
hold on.
Let me what? What do you want, John?
Well, okay. So now that you bring up how about trying to get people to be able to have the means to go back to school,
Right.
should we talk about a UBI, a universal basic income?
I have thoughts and opinions on that, but real quick,
It's hard. You can't possibly know the world, but it's stuff like that, right? The even existence that people consider that's totally new, right? You would have thought about like just a decade ago, and everybody would be like. But now people are considering it. That's how volatile the world is.
Considering
Duress.
what? Considering what?
Considering universal basic income. A decade ago, you wouldn't.
But that's a
that
socialist
would've been-
movement, right? That's a socialist idea.
Not
It's
even. It's an economic idea.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, but that's not a fascist idea.
no, I mean the
We're
most.
talking about
root-
fascists.
the
We're
whole-
talking,
the
we're talking about
root-
duress.
Okay, the point of the duress was, are we going, if we give, the whole point is if a fascist has a freaking conversation on an open platform, are we going to become fascists? No!
Not overnight. No, it's the same thing. It's like the same thing. You're
That's
saying.
what, thank you! That's the whole
No,
point I'm trying to say!
no. What I'm saying, I mean, when I was saying that 40% of jobs could be up for could be under
Right.
risk in 28 years.
Sure.
And you're saying, oh, well, that's 28 years from now. You think it'll happen overnight? And then you turn around and say, oh, well, do you think that fascism is going to happen overnight? I mean, come on.
But it's
Pot
not
calling the kettle black much? I
But
mean,
no, it's not. It's the fact that if we're gonna lose out on that job market and it's gonna go to automation, there are other jobs. There are other jobs that occur because
Tell that to the horses. Tell that to the horses who in the 1910s were saying, hey, now that
horses can't talk, John.
well, now that they were saying, oh yeah, now that we got tanks on the battlefield, we don't have to do all those war jobs.
More jobs
Now
are
that-
lost than
but
jobs are created.
No,
That is
yes,
the-
yes, I will agree with that, but I don't think it's as drastic because one, with automation, there's still so much human variable that needs to be taken into consideration that you just because, for example, refilling gas. If you have someone going from Texas all the way to California or something like that, sure, you can drive on the roads.
Well, we've
super
already
safe.
seen automation at gas stations. In the 1950s, you had a gas hop who came out and filled up your car for you while you went inside.
They provided a lot of other services too,
And-
though.
okay,
but
fine.
that was phased out because
now we have the little credit
expensive.
card guy at the pump.
No, I think it was just because it was expensive.
Well, you now have
1950s it was too expensive, but now it's profitable.
yeah.
To have the guy walk out and do your
No,
shit?
because it's not a guy. You don't have to pay him. It's a robot.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What robot are you talking
what
about?
I'm
You
saying-
go to a
what
gas
I'm
station,
saying-
you have to get out of your car, take the lever.
Yeah, no.
boop,
I'm
boop.
saying
Actually,
in
you
the,
don't have to.
I'm saying in the 1950s, you could have a guy run out to your car,
Uh-huh.
put the nozzle in the gas tank, and pump the gas for you
Right.
while you did something else. Right?
Right.
We had a human doing that job.
Right.
Today,
We still have a human doing that job.
No, you don't.
It's just us. We're the consumer.
okay, but you don't have an employee
Mhm.
getting paid to do it for you.
Because there's a
A
useless
job has been automated, has been lost to automation.
It's not direct automation because it's not a literal robot.
Okay,
but
yes,
it's
I
not-
understand. Has been lost.
And
all
then
right?
it'll get even worse because then the gas station there's no employees at the gas station because they automated with
I don't think
robotics
that.
and
But okay, so this is where I think I think we differ. Automation, I think is great. The higher paying jobs and the higher technically challenged jobs, those will stay, and the low hanging
Yeah.
fruit and the service oriented jobs will go.
then they're screwed.
Right.
First.
But I'm not saying we're going to be gaining more jobs. Yes, we will lose more jobs in the case, but in replacement, I always think that no matter what, we will always have some type of human interaction. There's still some type of human overseer. There's some type of human in that place.
Yeah,
Depends on what it is.
But if you have one guy who can manage 100 robots and you only need 200 robots, and you originally had 20 guys working at a factory,
Right.
You still out 18 jobs.
No, I understand. No, and I'm
Automation is going to kill jobs faster than oversight can replace
I
them.
see what you mean with the human interaction, but that's only relevant for jobs that need human interaction.
Yeah.
When you're at a gas pump, I don't want to fucking talk to anybody. I had some guy try to sell me something,
Really?
or whatever, and I was nervous because I was with my mom, and I'm just like, I was about to literally tell this guy if it weren't for him for smiling, being all smiley and stuff, I was about to be like, you need to back the fuck up. Why are you here?
Yeah,
Really?
I had a
never had that
But if
experience.
it's a restaurant, then
I-
yeah, you might want a person.
I had a Jehovah's Witness come up to me at a gas station trying to talk about the Lord Savior Jesus Christ, and I just doused him in gasoline, told him to fuck off, and threw a match at him. I tried to kill him.
And you couldn't, right? They just keep popping up, right?
Yeah, I know.
Human
Hard to.
interaction, right?
Mhm.
I mean, technically that can be automated too, right?
No, I understand it
Androids.
can be automated, but that's the thing. So I think so. And here's my prediction: instead of having a dynamic shift to fascism, we're gonna have a dynamic shift to higher skill required jobs, and that's okay, and that's fine.
That is okay, but the issue is that we need to help the people that aren't in those positions
Right.
to have a chance to get to there.
Sure.
You need to have you can't be telling farmers yeah, we don't need you anymore, and you don't.
Well,
know
farming is
anything.
subsidized by the government
Right.
now, so
And
But,
farming
that's-
is now only 2% of the United States population is involved in agriculture. It used to be that 90%, like at the turn of the century, I think more than half of the population was still involved in agriculture in 1900. But come 2000, it was like less than 5%.
No,
and it's just
I
hard to
understand.
tell because
But back to the point I was trying to make. This shift is not going to create a fascist movement. So why not let them
It's
have a
already
platform?
created a fascist movement. That's why the alt-right is actually something that can get out in Charlottesville and show up with
'cause this is the
700
duress.
people, as opposed to back in the 90s when it was two assholes with a swastika flag that were fucking each other in the bathroom because they want to stay racially pure.
So you're saying Charlottesville? There's going to be. Okay, I'm not trying to make you say, but what you're implying is that in the next future, there's going to be a similar Charlottesville event.
I'm saying that the existence of a Charlottesville type event shows that fascism has become not a mainstream movement, but it has become it's become not as fringe as it used to be.
Okay,
yeah,
You can't say that you have a show up. You can't say 700 people show up from all across the country in one location to get together and chant, Jews will not replace us, and say that there has not been a shift from the 90s back when, far right groups were, maybe were getting hunted down by the FBI and, weren't seen with such, weren't quite as numerous, right? They were usually just armed compounds in secluded rural areas.
Uh-huh.
But nowadays, these are people that you could work with, that go to school with you. It has become, it's not the majority of the population yet, but it has become a much more sizable minority.
Don't you think trying to oppress this minority and prevent them from speaking their mind, isn't that going to just draw more interest? And
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So
No,
you're
that's-
thinking you're saying after the event, let's just go to the Milo Yiannopoulos event where he got shut down and there's riots and people screaming and
it's
blah
a
blah,
lot
blah,
of
blah.
publicity for him.
You don't think a bunch of people
In
Googled
the
who's
aftermath-
Milo
in the
done
Yiannopoulos?
by
aftermath
the
of-
media,
Yeah, in
not
the
the government.
in the aftermath of Charlottesville, while 700 people showed up initially because of groups like Antifa and also like the sustained resistance that you had to these groups in terms of both peaceful and non-peaceful protesters showing up.
Mhm.
By the end of the week, or by the end of the weekend, you had less than 100 people from the alt-right there. In the aftermath of Charlottesville, there was a planned rally in Boston where it got shut down by over 2,000 people who were opposed to the alt-right, that then led to, I think it was 60 different gatherings being shut down
because they knew they couldn't come out.
because they knew they couldn't come out.
Oppressed.
Yeah.
Huh.
The thing is, there's a really great book by Robert F. Williams. He was an NAACP member, and he was a leader in North Carolina for a time. The book is called Negroes with Guns, but he talks about how, in the case of racists, he says racists view their lives as superior to the lives of what they deem inferior races, and so they will act with violence when they can do so best with impunity. Because if they think that they have to sacrifice their superior life to go take out some inferior life, they don't view that as a worthwhile trade.
Okay.
It's so complicated. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. I know, and I'm kind of glad that we had this because I've had this blind, ignorant perception that I think we were okay. But no,
it's just hard. But that's why we're supposed to communicate with each other and talk. But then even we're getting heated here about certain things because
I was
we have
staying
different.
cool. I don't know what you're talking about.
We were all getting heated, and we have. But we have different perspectives.
getting
But this is- This is what true free speech is us being able to talk to each other and sharing ideas and perspectives from different varying outlooks on life.
In a
To be able to-
respectful way as
in a
well.
respect-
Psych!
to be able
I'm
to
gonna
have-
mute all of your mics, and it'll just be a one-way conversation between me and Blake.
To be able to see there's so much more to the world.
So-
yeah, I understand.
So I think this is a good time to. I think we've put the nail in this coffin. I think we should maybe put another topic in.
I
Maybe.
agree. Or do we all have time?
I've got the time.
Blake?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Let's actually talk about something that I had on the list, Mr. Let's talk about free speech.
Well, I had a topic.
God, who's leading this? Me or John?
Hey, you can take me home, right?
Yeah, I can take you home.
Well, I actually have a topic, and I think that you guys. I mean, it might just be a short topic. I just want to throw this
All right,
one.
what do
out
you
here.
want, John?
This is what I was trying to tell you about in the car.
Okay.
Okay,
I
so
don't remember what you were trying to tell me about in the car.
well, I said I had a topic, but I didn't tell you what it was because I wanted to present it here and get your immediate reactions.
For the
to
record,
it, right?
I'm still the host of this, and this is my show, not John's.
I'm
Continue,
sorry.
John. Continue,
Pick
John.
5.
Continue.
Okay, so
Gabe, John, sorry.
what is the deal with everybody dating?
What's the deal with that? Sorry. go
What's
ahead.
the deal with everybody dating their high school sweethearts or their high school boyfriend girlfriend?
Well, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
That it's so like
What
up
I'm
until
s-
adulthood, or just like
What I'm
people
saying,
now?
what I'm saying is that like people in college, pardon me, I've encountered a number of people. Like, I mean, I don't know what the actual numbers are because I have not looked up. You know, like how many people stay with their high school partner into college,
Right.
but there seems to be this like inordinately high number of people who continue dating their high school boyfriend or girlfriend into college.
Because it works. You have two people at a young age who are trying to learn.
Right, but
and grow.
what's the deal about it? I mean, like why?
I have
They-
the perfect
they-
answer for you. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Zach. No.
They were exposed to each other at an adolescent age, and so they were able to literally grow as people with each other, which
Exactly.
is a much more intimate bond than most other things.
Literally,
You think
the
that's-
words right out of my mouth.
You think that that's really a more intimate bond, or
Yes.
do you think
Oh,
that they're
yes.
just?
Yeah.
You think
If
they're
you're-
just
if you're-
loaded on teenage hormones?
No. If you okay, so freshman Yuval, if he was like, he didn't know what he wanted to do. He had no idea what was going on in his life. If there was another individual who didn't lie to him, didn't cheat on him, you know, you have certain standards. Because obviously, if you're gonna have a high school sweetheart and if they're a bitch, and then come college time, now there's this other girl that's being nice to me, I'm gonna dump my high school sweetheart. But you're so young, you're developing minds, you're growing minds. Maybe you do drugs together. Maybe, especially in young relationships, they're your very first person you were intimate with. So there are a lot of driving factors where growing up, you're just interweaving these people. Think of yourself as a plant. Think of your girlfriend as a plant. And so over the years, because high school is 4 years, so if you start dating freshman year, or hell, even like sophomore year, maybe in between junior year,
If you start dating at 16, let's
right,
say.
exactly. You have these because you don't, especially now. Even now, I probably don't even have a full understanding from our just conversation we just had. I don't have a full grasp of how the world works. I don't understand the complexities of what is the human mind. Okay, so when you have someone at a young age being directly impacted on your life, and you share all of these experiences, like what Zach was saying, it bonds you. And sure, you grow, and if I think there's a certain extent of
If
being
you use the plant,
right.
You grow with each other, maybe weave a little bit, and then maybe you grow outwards from each other, but
Right.
you're still growing.
Exactly.
And
so-
then you were still there, weaving with each other.
right.
Right, but what's with this thing? Like, I'm now a senior, right?
Right.
How is it that people are still with their high school partners of like fucking 4 years or something? In some cases where they are not even in the same university, they're not even in the same city. They're like hours away
It's
from each other.
You don't wanna be
Familiarity.
alone
It's
in
a
the
commitment to one another.
Well, okay,
Commitment,
but
maybe it's commitment, maybe it's familiarity.
I think it's
But
more
is it-
you just don't want to be
Does
alone.
it? Yeah, I'm thinking. To me, at least, it sounds like it's like, okay, I'm scared to be lonely or whatever. Type
I don't
thing,
think.
right?
I think.
It doesn't always have to be that.
It's. I think it's just you're really comfortable with what you have, and if okay, so let's say you have
So then you're not willing to take a risk.
more or less. So if you have 5 things, the pick 5, you have pick 5. All right.
Ah.
If 4 out of the 5 pick 5s are satisfied, what's the chance that you're going to try and find the perfect
You're saying a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, or
I've never understood that expression.
you're saying that what you have now is worth more than if you were to release the bird and try and grab the other 2 in the bush,
Right.
You know, are
Exactly.
you willing to risk it? Right.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and
Although
I don't even think.
I don't appreciate you trying to make this a value proposition.
Well, no.
What do you mean a value proposition?
It sounds like you're trying to put value onto something that doesn't really. It's priceless.
I mean, hold on. What are you saying, Zach? What are you
I'm
talking
saying
about?
romance is priceless, and
I don't-
it feels like he's trying to impose the U.S. dollar on it.
I'm not trying to impose the fucking
that
U.S.
prostitution?
dollar on it.
That's prostitution, John.
What I'm saying is, there's a term in German which is a Torschlusspanik, right? Or in English we have something called FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. And it's like, it almost seems nowadays like if you don't have someone, like a high school sweetheart that you're going to take with you to college, that you're kind of just fucked. right?
No, that's not
No.
true.
Really?
There are
No.
hundreds and bajillions of people. It's just
Really?
we're at an age. You're correct. We're at an age right now where people are still either.
I mean,
on
everybody
cusp
that
of
I've,
their relationship.
I mean, everybody that I've seen, like at least that I've
Sure.
been, that I've asked, right, has said, "Oh yeah, I have a boyfriend." I was like, "Okay, how do you know them?" It's like, "Oh, from high school." I was like,
Sure.
"Okay, well, this is like the umpteenth time I've got that answer."
Okay,
so.
okay. I started dating my girlfriend freshman year of college,
Okay,
but we knew each other in high school.
okay,
She's not my high school sweetheart.
You knew each other before high school too.
We knew since we were in kindergarten. Not
exactly.
the
okay.
point. Point is,
That is
we
the
knew
point.
each other.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean she's my high school sweetheart or my middle school sweetheart or
But
my
I mean,
kindergarten
really,
sweetheart.
if you look at it,
But no, I'm
hasn't
talking
she
about
always
people
been
who
your sweetheart.
I'm talking about people who started
That's,
dating in high school.
I would
Uh,
disagree because there's some people that I just at the time that they're just like, man, you're a bitch. But then they grew up and they became a different
Just
person.
because I think you mean when they actually start dating, like junior year of high school,
Yeah.
and they carry over, as
Yeah.
opposed to, oh hey, I remember that girl in high school. You go up to her at a frat party, or
Yeah,
whatever, and
yeah.
you guys start
Hey.
dating or whatever.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
I'm saying people who
I
started
think,
dating
if
in
anything,
high
the
school
numbers
and
have gone
carry on.
down.
Really?
Because my grandparents got married when they were 17, 18 years old. That's a very 50s baby boomer
Okay, but
kind of thing. And I think, if anything, those numbers have
I
gone
mean,
down.
my dad didn't meet my mom until he was like 30. I think,
yeah, no, I
something
mean,
like
my
that.
parents
No, no,
didn't.
no.
My
Oh,
parents
wait.
didn't
No,
meet
no, no,
until they
just
were.
kidding. I
It's
don't know.
different generations.
I crossed the
too.
record. I don't know when my parents met. Sorry.
I mean, look,
I mean,
Sorry,
my-
father.
we're
my
in a
parents-
generation
sorry,
where we
Ma-
got our heads in our phone all the time, right? So maybe it's harder. I mean, I don't know, but maybe
Well,
it's
no,
harder
I
for
think-
people
There's
to
something to that.
communicate and branch
There's
out.
something to that.
And
Yeah.
so they stay more in.
Guys
You
don't
got
have
more
game anymore.
introverts.
No,
More introverts.
I don't even think it's. I think it's partly that, but I think the main thing is just familiarity. If you go to the same place for food, you hang out with your same friends, blah blah blah. Well, your life is good until there's a dynamic shift where, oh, my boyfriend Jimmy wants to go to do this thing, and I want to go and do.
He
this
wants to
thing.
go to fifth base, and I'm not down for that.
then you're gonna have a split, and then that's when you're gonna break up. But I agree. It's kind of, I think it's a weird concept to, you're so young, because I the perception of love and the perception of passion and stuff like that at such a young age, I think that's totally blunt. You can't love someone as like in the sense of like a deep,
I wholeheartedly agree.
yeah. You just
Like,
I don't think our brains are.
It depends on how old, but yeah, I would.
I don't.
agree.
Anytime
So
in high
I
school-
didn't. So anytime in high school. So once you graduate, it changes.
No,
Or-
I don't. I
I mean-
don't think until your late 20s you're able to really fully understand
Yeah.
the complexities of what
I mean,
love is.
I'm
have-
not going to say that you cannot have significant feelings,
It's-
that you
it's-
can't be selfless
it's
or
puppy
inclined
love.
to help them.
It's puppy love.
So I'm
But-
puppy love with my girlfriend of 2.5 years.
Sure, yeah. I'm not
It's
trying to
just
say that as
consistent.
a diss.
I'm-
I'm
Yeah,
trying to
no,
say
I,
that
well,
I see what
I'm-
they're saying, Blake.
because it's not until
What
you
I-
take full responsibility of your own, where you're fully independent. You have things to lose in life. You significant, impactful things to lose in life, and then
Isn't that someone impactful and something you don't want to lose in life, though? Like, isn't that
Right. But
But-
here's
but
the
until-
thing.
until-
You're talking about a potential, long term. Okay, so you can. I mean,
Make
I.
it sound like it's a goddamn business.
It is.
I
a
mean,
business.
I don't deny that you have
Love is a
significant feelings
business.
for your girlfriend, right?
But-
I'm not going to call it puppy love, right?
I'm gonna call it puppy love.
But for me, I think that there's a new stage of love and life that you can enter after 25. For me, that's my cutoff point, because that's where your prefrontal cortex finally finishes developing, which means that now your full cognitive capabilities have reached their full maturity.
okay? So when I
right?
turn 25, could that mean I stop loving my girlfriend?
no,
Possibly.
no.
I think it's possible.
I'm saying okay. I'm saying that you love your girlfriend now. I think that's fantastic, right?
I don't. I hate it. I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
I'm saying that I hope things work out.
you, Brittany.
I'm saying
She
I hope.
listens to this, by the
Yeah.
way, so you're kind of fucked.
I'm
I'm saying I hope things work out for you.
I got
because
you, Brittany. I got you.
I'm saying I hope things work out for you, because you seem like a very happy guy
I
and you
hope
seem to
nothing
work well
works out for
together.
you, Blake.
But
I
I'm
hope
also
he
saying that-
spirals into depression.
But what I'm
and-
saying,
It's too late,
Jumps
Yuval.
off.
Continue, John.
hey, but what I'm trying to say is that if you love each other now and you get to 25 and you still love each other, there's going to be a new dynamic, right? Not necessarily a bad one. You could have a new dynamic where you're talking about the possibility of having kids, planning a life together, right? Whereas, when you're in college, you might be able to, say, I want to cohabitate, and, I think it'd be fun to move in with you. But, I mean, when you get to 25 and your full cognitive, capabilities come into effect, you're
I
now
don't even
starting
think
to
it's that.
you're now starting to plan out a whole lot more, right? You have not just those feelings and not just that
I think,
those sort of generalities. You now have a much more set in stone, or at least some sort of outline of what you want to do with the rest of your life.
I think you're comparing that to how impactful that is and how major the decision is. I'm just saying, with the limited responsibilities that we have right now, and granted, sure, we pay bills, sure, we have to pay things, sure, we're making money, that's great, but we have such a limited scope of what financial responsibility is, what life responsibility, because how many of us have been outside the country?
I have.
Right?
Yeah.
One. And for vacation, I'm assuming, with your family?
Yeah.
Okay, have any of us gone outside of the country by ourselves? No.
Ooh, by ourselves, no.
No, exactly. So
Would I want to? No.
what about like out of state by yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been out of state by myself before.
I wouldn't want to go
Yeah.
places
Well,
by
aside
myself.
from school.
Plenty of times.
Aside from school.
Oh. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, but in terms of a limited aspect, right?
Yeah.
So
About 2 weeks.
All I'm saying is, we haven't had the experiences. We haven't had until we can fully understand what life is and what we're doing on this planet. Yes, when John's saying building a future and being able to comprehend all of that, but I think relationships need to take a step back until, hey, I need to know what I'm doing with my life. Because once you're paying a mortgage, once you're doing all of this kind of stuff, and you have to have a scope of, okay, what do I have time for in life, and what do I need to devote time?
I've
then I
gotta
think
agree.
that's because if you're in high school and you're like, I have a math test, but I'm gonna hang out with my girlfriend before the math test because I love her so much. Like that's nothing. I
I think you're overcomplicating it.
don't think I'm overcomplicating.
Life is not that
agree to a
hard.
point, but
Life is very difficult, Blake.
No.
I think it's very difficult. Why are you saying that?
You get up,
to
you go to
quote-
bed, you take one good shit a day, and you eat 3 meals. It's
To quote George Carlin, yeah.
yeah.
You wake up, you go to work, or you wake up, drink
Eat-
a cup of coffee, eat breakfast.
3 good meals,
See,
take one
everyone's
good
not
shit a
the
day, and
same.
go back to bed.
And at this point, it's just how different people view things differently. So maybe they also see.
Well,
romance
Blake, you're a black and
differently.
white man, and I don't appreciate that. I want you to bring color into your life.
I'm not a black and white man. I'm comfortable, and I know.
I
I don't think life is that difficult.
Yeah, but like in 5 to 10 years, it's going to be a complete different dynamic in your life.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you move out on your own? What happens?
I
when,
can't fucking wait.
and that's fine. But and now your relationship that you have with her is going to be different, and that's a fact, and it's going to be different. And so how your relationship handles it, and whether it moves with the ocean or goes against the current, I'm not trying to imply one or the other. That's just a fact of life. And so I think it's great to have the experience. I'm not saying don't date. Obviously date people in high school.
You hear that right here? The one more podcast telling you need to not date. It is bad.
Break up with
Don't
your high
do
school
that.
girlfriend or boyfriend.
Get rid of that shit now. Find your
But-
purpose in life. Have a midlife crisis like 20 years early. Whatever.
It's a quarter
You do
life
you.
crisis. Break up with your girlfriend or boyfriend. Don't date anybody. Just go ahead and sleep around with some people for a little while.
Get a couple
Get-
tetanus shots.
Get all
some
that
penicillin.
hoeing out of your system. If you're a guy, get all the hoeing out of your system too. But the hoeing happens to look and smell and look like
All right.
cum.
Anyways,
God.
but no, it's good to have those experiences in life. But even then, I think a relationship from high school. If you date, so John, if me and you date from high school, freshman year of high school up until now,
If you and I date,
sure. If you and I date from freshman year of high school up until now, we haven't dated anybody else. Okay,
Okay.
nobody else, just us. I think if Zach and Blake have dated multiple people and found them in college, freshman year of college, and started dating up until now, I think their relationship is going to be stronger than ours because they would have a wider.
they have
Then
tested.
explain
their
that to my grandparents who've been together since.
I'm
they were
not saying their
17.
love is strong, or love is not strong, but I think
It's strong. It's not as strong as someone who's dated more.
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And time length aside, I think because you have a different perspective because knowing how to handle one person is a thing. Knowing how to handle multiple people and incorporating the best qualities out of all of those relationships into one relationship, that's you're gonna have a way more fulfilling relationship.
And no offense to your grandparents, because I'm sure that they're wonderful people and they had a great relationship.
Offense.
But something that we do have to consider was cultural norms of the time, right? Divorce, in terms of like no fault divorce, wasn't introduced until the 1970s, right?
Sure.
So if they got married at 17, and they say your grandparents, what was it? This got to be in the 30s, the 20s, or something like that.
Wow, you have no concept of time.
My
John. His
granddad
grandparents
and my
were born in the 80s.
1942.
1940. Okay.
So they got married in 1960.
Okay. So then divorce was a relatively new concept for them after they got married, right?
Sure.
So maybe they were raised in a household that say, maybe you shouldn't split up, right? Maybe you should try. I mean, this is that whole, older generation, we don't throw something out, we fix it, put it back together, right? In our modern age, we're more scientific, how shall we say, right? We like to test out different partners and different things, and we like to experiment with different people.
Even then, there was like a study that was like, humans are not supposed to Yes, there was a study done where humans are not technically supposed to have a partner. I think technically humans and this is fighting our nature, is every 8 months or 9 months or something like that, you instinctively want to move to a different partner. Now obviously the whole identity of marriage and all of these religious / government based ideas have trumps that. But I think instinctively, if we're just living in a primitive society,
and that's why we have Mormonism, it's
and that's Mormon's explanation to having people. But yeah, so I'm sorry to interrupt you, John. I was just saying it's like the idea, branching off of what your idea of.
I don't know if it has to be as radical as that, but I can agree to an extent that you can stay with one partner for a long time and have a really great relationship, and it could be awesome and whatnot. But I can see from a different perspective that it would if you were having a relationship with multiple people, you may have had problems with one relationship that you did not have with another, which now a better way of handling that problem. Exactly. Which lets you make your whatever next relationship.
You had a practice run. You had a practice run.
I've definitely from freshman year, Yuval, if he was dating the one person and up until the same point, he would be a completely different person. And the ideas, the wants, the desires, how to ask for things, how to talk and have effective communication in the relationship, totally different. Yeah. Because I've had that experience. And so again, I'm not saying, two like-minded people dating in high school can't have a happy relationship. Of course, you can have the most blissful, great, amazing relationship, but to have a more deep, impactful, and
I don't know if necessarily
understanding.
Deep.
I think so. I think so. And
I don't even want to say stronger, but I can see where you're coming from.
And I'm not trying to shit on relationships now. I'm just saying it's important to understand that. And I think it's a great tool to use for. Zach, you're doing the official wrap it up dance. Wrap it up.
Wrap the topic up.
No, I want to keep talking about love forever.
What's the next topic? I think
John, you don't have another topic that you don't want to.
Now for the sweet sounds.
Well, do you want to finally talk about Venezuela, or should we go on to one of your topics?
I want to talk about Venezuela.
What? No more.
Venezuela
no
is
more
like
world
the thing.
topics.
Talk about
Venezuela is like that one that's always over the horizon that
Hey,
we're never
Blake,
going to get
I want something
to.
lighthearted.
How do you handle failure?
Give
me some examples also.
Examples? Okay.
Yeah.
Let it punch me in the face a couple of times and then get back up and keep going.
That's not your father we're talking about. This is failure. No, I'm kidding.
It can be both.
I'm kidding, Blake.
Let's see. Getting fired twice.
From JD?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not letting that affect me.
How about from Turk? Did Turk fire you?
Good Scrubs reference.
You know I love you, Blake.
Let's see. My first semester of college, I failed 2 classes. Mm-hmm. Let that punch me in the face. Didn't want to play the victim ever, and just get back up.
You
and
accepted full responsibility all the time.
Of course,
100%.
Yeah, it was nobody's fault but my own.
No, I mean, I think a trending topic now, and I'm not saying any of us do this, but I think a trending topic is to have some type of blame, some type of external blame. I mean, even today, it's John's fault that you had to wait 5 minutes until getting off 75. Sure,
you gave him the fucking directions for the last fucking time.
So I think it's common to put blame, but you, in terms of failure, it's 100%. You accept full responsibility.
Full responsibility.
You don't even think
it's funny you say that, because at least in America, where maybe we want to put in blame, but there's a lot of that individual presence where putting blame is actually stigma because it's like, no, you're responsible for your
I would
own
feel
stuff.
shameful if I blamed somebody else for my own shortcomings.
But see,
Okay.
it's not always that simple though, because like for example, when I didn't get that children's internship, you know, I can say, okay, I guess I wasn't good enough. But when I really think about it, I'm like, you know, it's hard for me to be like, how was I not good enough? I was a really great candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start thinking about the business world, and you start going through maybe stages of grief. I don't know, but you're thinking about it, and you're like, man, we'll call it denial, because you're just like, I'm thinking I was a really, really good candidate. I've had 2 heart surgeries with children's. I put it in my cover letter. It's a really great story to go along with really great qualifications and whatnot. And then, you know, I remember when I told my mom, and she's like, you know, it's okay. They probably, to be honest, it's the business world. They probably made this position for somebody, and they weren't even, they posted it, but it wasn't even a real consideration, and someone else got it. And, you know, at the back of my head, I can't help but think, you know, you can't help but think, maybe it is not my fault. It's not my failure, because it's so hard to understand.
Well,
and so that's why I say it's not always so easy, because I can be like, okay, yeah, I'm not good enough, and for the most part, I accept that I need to improve myself and do better. But there's always that little part of you in the back that says, was it really my fault?
well, so from that experience, did you? I know this is a very recent thing, but in terms of long term, do you have any plans to make any drastic improvements in yourself, or do you have anything like that?
Failure doesn't get me down, because I've definitely got a purpose in life. So failures like that, it's minimal. You know, I remember a lot of times if I ever feel bad, I usually write down how I'm feeling, and it helps remove any negative feelings whatsoever. Doesn't happen a whole lot, but for this one I did, and I remember very specifically, it was just like, you know, I wrote down, you know, I'm disappointed, I don't understand what happened, but this isn't getting me down, I'll be back.
Here's the way I see it. Adam Carolla said it kind of simplistic, but there's beauty in simplicity with Adam Carolla. He looked at it as, let's say I want to go and get ice cream, and I drive out there, through traffic and whatnot, I drive up and it's closed. Is that my fault, or is that the ice cream shop's fault? Maybe I should have called ahead, see what time they closed, maybe looked it up. I see that. I see life as that. You can now, you know, next time maybe I should fucking call the place before I go. I look at failure like that. I mean, that's a very simplistic way to look at it. But
failure works like that when you have like a service that's being provided, right? I mean, an excellent example of where failure can be of no fault of your own is in a relationship, right? Now, if you're in a relationship and one partner is slacking, then if you're in a relationship and one partner is slacking, and then okay, yeah, you can blame them for that. But I mean, what about just asking somebody out, right? I mean, for me, I didn't really pursue people. I pursued a few people in high school, but I didn't actively pursue, just like one person right after the other, just like some sort of dog. I was like, right, I'm going to go for whoever, anything that walks, man.
Yeah, but you did learn after getting rejected so many times or whatever. You learned.
Whoa, hey, he's only rejected a couple times, not so many times.
It's only been once.
So many times, me and
I've been rejected so many times.
Okay, well, my point is, the first time you ask her name and she says, "Fuck you, I don't want to talk to you." The second time you ask if she has a stepdad and she says, "Fuck you," and you don't want to talk to you. Mm-hmm. And then you keep going and you figure out a way to start talking to girls.
But you don't always learn from failure, though, because back to my example,
then that's...
the guy sends me an email,
I mean, reinforcement
your
of
stuff was impressive, but blah, blah, blah. We decided to pursue other opportunities. I didn't learn anything. The only thing I get from that is I'm confused.
I mean,
how many resumes did you put out? Like, in terms of, was that the only company you applied for the internship for?
I'm just talking about that. Being rejected from that company. I didn't learn anything from that failure.
Think about
could have followed up.
Well, think about this. Think about this.
Did.
What if you have a situation where it's like, your opening line, like let's use my relationship example.
Hold on. I want to talk about Zach.
Hold on.
No.
Yeah.
We already did relationships.
No, I'm just using this. I'm using this as an example. I'm saying,
go ahead.
What if you walk up to a girl?
Yes.
And your opening line is...
Wait, can I be the girl? All right, hold on. I'm the girl. Hey, John.
No. He has to walk up to you. Go ahead.
Walk up to me, John.
What if...
Hey. Oh, you have to say hi.
Why, hello, Evalina.
Hello, John.
Okay, so what if I go up to you and said, damn, girl, do you know karate? Because your body is kicking, you know? It's like, and you're going to be like,
Yuval, does that turn you on?
Not really.
and you're going to be, and you're going to be like, I want to slap you for that, right? Okay, so now I've just failed, which means
Right.
obviously, okay, so I don't use that line anymore, but have I learned what actually works
You
with
learn
girls?
what doesn't. It's like
I've only
Edison
learned
with the light
one
bulb,
thing
dude.
that
It's like
works.
Edison with the light bulb.
But if I know, you know, like saying, you know, hey, you know, what's going on? You know, my name's John, or whatever. If that's just an easy way to start conversation, then a success, right? Having something that can positively reinforce a certain behavior that I know is now going to work has taught me more than trying a million different ways that didn't work.
I don't know. I look at it like whenever I was playing baseball and I was struggling as a hitter or whatever, and I couldn't hit the ball to save my life. It was the constant failure of striking out or getting a ground out or, you know, blah blah blah. It wasn't the lucky hit that I got. It was the amount of times failing and going, okay, this isn't working. I need to change something. And so it was me failing that taught me the discipline and the work ethic to keep moving forward. And it just happened.
Have you ever heard the quote, an amateur practices until they can get it right, a professional practices until they can't get it wrong?
Uh-huh.
So I mean,
haven't
I don't
heard that. Who said that?
I don't remember.
Was it Louis C.K.?
I think it was from Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, really?
So
It was Socrates.
I remember that quote.
yeah. So what I'm saying is, I'm not denying that failure can still teach you, but what I'm saying is that where failure can teach you is the amateur league, right? You know,
So you think success is more valuable?
success in learning how to do something properly by getting it right until you can't get it wrong is going to teach you a hell of a lot more than learning the 10,000 ways that didn't work.
That first step is failing, though.
I don't deny that.
Okay.
Unless you get lucky and it works on the first go, and then you got lucky.
Because you can learn from successes too. It's not that failures don't, like, once again, like, I don't think failures can always teach you something.
I mean, let me ask you something. If you fail at skydiving, did you learn anything, or did you learn more from a successful skydive? Right?
Yeah, like, oh, hey,
If at first you don't succeed, skydiving's not for
but
you.
he's got a point there. Like, with
He's not wrong,
skydiving,
I guess.
when you're using a parachute, you can't be going straight at the ground. You need to pull back on the chute so that you slow yourself down so that you don't impact too much. And so
Sure.
on your successful skydive, because you didn't die, obviously.
Well, but I think those are unfair situations to compare. It's again, we're bringing it all the way back to the fascism argument. I think
would
you're
call that some of these are unfair situations too, where it's like there's a direct outcome, whereas there's not always a direct outcome.
Could you not have, like, and
But
don't
did
take
you-
this the wrong way by any means, because I don't know your scholastic,
Yeah.
studies or
Go
whatever.
ahead. Just go
But
scholastic.
whenever, yes,
All right, go ahead.
is it scholastic
No,
or what I
just-
say?
just
What
go
I
ahead.
say?
Go ahead.
Regardless.
Scholastic, as in like what comes out of your skull. No, I'm kidding.
Anyway, so did you not learn from, okay, maybe I didn't do well in this area, maybe that's why they didn't look at me, did maybe blah blah blah, maybe this part wasn't as strong as it should have been.
broken up and hyperanalyzed it. Where was it the introduction that was not good, or
Maybe
was it-
change my
I can
cover.
look at that, but without feedback, it's just me trying to figure it out. Because the reality is,
But to the
I don't
but then
know what
but
made
then
the failure.
then the
Okay,
extent
well, but-
with the
yeah.
failure. So the failure happened, but it was your, and again, I love you, Zach, but
No,
it was your lack of initiative to get information from that failure. I think it's like a failure is
What about you ever play Battleship?
yes.
I mean, if you miss,
Right.
then you don't know where something is. But if you hit, then
Uh-huh.
that leads to future
That's
success.
But again, I think
assuming
that's
that life is a game of chance.
But because I think I think every single failure you have the ability to gain knowledge from it. It's how hard you pursue that knowledge. Because you could have easily.
I'm not saying you
contacted
can't
someone
learn
else within
anything from
Children's,
failure.
Hospital and say, hey, what's the criteria or qualification that got hired,
That's
or in a
true.
month or something.
But that's
makes
learning
sense.
from someone else's success. It might
But
not be
it's
your
out of
own,
your-
but you're still learning
but you're
from
not
a
prompted
success.
until you fail.
But
You're not
this
prompted
is
to do that until you.
extending. I'm talking
Because
about
if you
the
succeeded,
direct
then you would have
failure
learned how to
itself,
do
I
it
didn't
because
learn
you
anything
succeeded.
from. That direct failure,
Sure,
I didn't
but
learn
what
anything
I'm-
without other qualifiers and stuff. That
Well,
make
that's
the
what I'm trying to say
situation
is
infinitely more complex.
From the failure, from the original failure, everything that directly occurred because of that failure, that I think that's more valuable. It just depends on how much effort you're willing to put to learn from that
But
failure.
by the same logic, whoever did get the internship,
Mm-hmm.
right? I could have, if I knew who it was and I could find them,
Right.
I could ask them and be like, "What was your resume or cover letter like?"
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't really learn from my failure. I learned from their success. You know,
But
So
but
it's-
again, that situation would have been prompted and
right, it's all prompted though. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
This itself, by itself, no other qualifiers or whatnot.
But I think with
didn't learn
if you're
anything.
if you're talking about success, it's like, hey, you won. Okay, I won, and I think you're more likely to just go with the hey, I won. I'm going to repeat this process instead of trying to expand from it. Say, why did I win? Why did I go from there? Because if you got the internship and you said yes, wouldn't you be done? That's it. Yeah, I got it. Awesome.
Don't you do project management?
Yes.
So you do lessons learned, right?
From
projects.
a project, sure.
And after projects, when projects go well, you analyze what went well in the project and what happened. What did we do that went really well in this project? Can we apply it for future projects?
Sure.
And can it be
But
expanded
again,
upon?
and that's
So
in a
you
business
can, so
a
that's
business
wrong. You
sense.
can't-
A business
But
sense.
you can do that for other stuff too.
But how
Everything
likely are you
can-
going to do that though? In a life, and I'm just talking about your
Well,
personal.
no,
And
no,
I'm
to
ta- the-
likeliness.
but
it's-
that's
we're
what
talking
I'm
about if
saying.
it's possible.
Sure, it's possible to do anything, Zach. But I'm just saying, if you got the job at, or if you got the internship at Children's Hospital, would you have been like, okay, why did I get it? You'd have been, no, fuck yeah, dude, I got it, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would have been likely to repeat the same process to the next person. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
if, and again, however extent you want,
But that's a specific situation.
But then
Because
you
in-
learn from your
But
success.
wasn't that the whole point of the logic? Is it can be applied to the success logic can be applied to any situation where
Yeah.
you learn more from success than failure.
right.
But that, oh man,
Just-
see, we're all on different pages at this
I
point.
don't think we're all. I think we're.
I think
relatively
you
on the same
guys all
page.
need to take your sharpening stones back to whatever pawn shop you got them from, because none of you are making a point.
Oh! You're funny, John.
Yeah.
How
kinda
you
bored.
fucking like me now?
You're really funny.
Yeah, I know, right?
You're really funny. John, you haven't told me a specific failure. You're just talking about girls. Give me a specific failure in your life and how you grew from that.
Bro, I gave you a
Can't be
fucking
about
specific
no, it can't
failure.
be about relationships.
Can't be a
Sorry.
real relationship. Can't be.
Okay.
A girl didn't say yes to me when I asked her out.
Why you gotta make me sound like a bitch?
So condescending.
All right, let the boys speak.
Boy, oh, I got a foot and a half on you. Who the fuck are you calling boy?
Boyo. All right, come on.
I got a leg longer than you, boy.
Come on.
Just as
I'm
a side,
kidding,
I
I'm
find
kidding.
it funny, but I'm so short. But I very consistently call people boy or kid. I don't know why. It's just I think it's funny.
It's from all those days back on the plantation.
Jesus.
What is that? A Jamaican accent?
No, it's probably because
Back
of my
on
modern warfare too.
plantation.
Nah, it's from South Carolina.
Yo, okay, real quick. Okay, side topic. John, you guys are gonna you'll be able to understand. Well, I mean, you'll get to understand. John, whenever we did in U.S. history, and we were talking about, I think it was, I forget what specifically we were talking. It was the ratification of something in the Constitution, and we had to split up in different states as representatives from the different states. I love that. That was so amazing.
13th and 14th probably.
I maybe I don't remember.
I think it was prior to that.
I
but-
think okay. So pretty much the whole concept was we're supposed to be each other's states, and we're supposed to talk about some part in how the South after the Civil War, how it'd be reassociated into the United States or something like that. And so it got to the point, and John, you know what I'm going to talk about, right?
Was this the one where you had the drawing on the board?
No, not the. Okay, it's partially related to the drawing. Pretty much the best way we could have handled reincorporating the South into the North was create a separate states called Slavetopia, where
Oh my God.
literally everything, all the bad things in the South can go into this state, be isolated, and everyone would be able to proceed like normal.
George Carlin Prison Farm.
That would
Yeah.
be a good example
Yeah.
right there, yeah.
So, and the whole was like Slavetopia, except that in a southern drawl. It was like,
Wait, y'all did
Go
this
ahead
for a
and try,
school
go ahead and
project?
try to do a southern draw.
He has a fucking picture. I have a picture of it.
Yeah,
on
I think
my
we have-
phone.
Oh
There's
wait, is
pictures-
that the thing where you had to make a country?
No,
No.
this is
Hold
something
on.
else.
Go with your
I
southern draw.
totally-
Go
hold on.
talk with your southern draw. Let's
Hold
see
on,
what you
it's-
got.
Hold on, I'm smiling too much. I'm smiling. No. It was.
Son, I'm gonna need you to slow that down a little bit. I want you to talk like you got
Kind
some.
of sounds like Cleveland.
I want you. I want you to talk like you got some molasses
what?
spilling out of your mouth.
Thank you, Andy.
Aw.
I want you to just go ahead and put a nice apricot
Chaw.
in your mouth and
I
use
can't-
that
I
as
can't.
a
I can't.
Do the
I'm
Southern
gonna-
draw.
I can't-
See what you
hold on,
got.
hold on.
All right. Hold on.
But the thing, you see, whenever John's telling
Sugar
this thing
plum.
off-
I don't know what you want to do, but I'm gonna get you a nice pecan pie. And I'm gonna let you sit there, just chew on that for a little bit.
Hold on.
Go
What
ahead and
type of pie
pull your
did John
pie.
just say?
Pecan.
What type of pie?
Some
Well,
pecan
I say
pie.
pecan,
Pecan. Yeah.
but it's a very Southern thing to say.
Is
pecan.
pecan Southern?
Mhm.
Oh, really?
I've heard people say pecan. I say pecan though.
I thought it was pecan.
It is pecan, but it's like
I feel like that's one of those that goes both ways.
But does anyone say potato?
Pecan.
Yeah.
Arthritis.
We say potato every time we say potato.
Well, yeah, but if you were saying, hey, I want some potato salad.
Real shit.
Do you say potato salad?
Pecan and pecan. It's my white trash side of my family always says pecan, but
Pecan Sandies.
It's like when
But I
people
say
finance.
finance.
but
but that's the correct way. You say finance.
Is it really?
It's finance.
Holy crap!
It's
no,
not finance.
That's
It's finance.
gross. Every time my finance professor goes,
Finance.
So welcome back to
Finance.
finance. I'm just like, ugh.
It's finance.
No, that hurts
So
me.
That's you. It's the
Finance.
official. It's finance.
Everyone says finance,
It's
though.
finance. Where's the E?
I don't care what kind of garboon from Britain decided to call it aluminium, but here in God's land, we call it aluminum, boy.
All right, hold on real quick. Let's see what Google has to say.
I don't care what
Hold on, hold on, hold on,
googly-eyed
hold on.
oysters
He
have
said
to
finance.
say.
He said finance.
I didn't hear it.
He said finance. Come on.
Finance!
Finance. It's finance. It's
We'll
finance.
take it up with Miriam.
Who's Miriam?
But see, who? But does it
Webster's
really matter?
sister?
Fucking Webster.
Wait, Miriam is fucking Webster?
Yeah. He's fucking Mrs. Webster.
It's
Yo,
like-
hey, I paid for those donuts. You're gonna eat your damn donuts.
Do you know how many dicks I had to suck to get those donuts? 480.
480.
I couldn't eat anything for a week that wasn't cylindrical, and it all
Eat the
tasted like
damn donuts.
and it all tasted like dick.
Oh my god!
I don't care if the donuts fell on the floor. You're gonna eat your damn donuts. Long story short, Miss Webb had her daughter get donuts, and then her daughter dropped the donuts on the floor.
Hey, long story short, JFK
Is
is
a
a
sexy
sexy
man.
man.
Blake, I told
He
you this,
delivers his speech with the white-hot passion of 1,000 suns.
I have it somewhere, but so pretty much it was a rhetorical analysis over JFK's speech on like the steel industry and how they were trying to break some kind of company bullshit. I don't know. So we had to do 2 essays, and I was totally running out of time on the last one. So the first one I actually did a legitimate essay, but then I was just going off on how JFK is this fucking sexy ass motherfucker. I literally started the essay off. JFK is a sexy man. And just go from there. And I got like an 80 on it. So it was pretty good.
Your teacher was obviously like, "Oh yeah."
Oh, she totally like
If
she shit on me so hard on the essay.
You learned that from that
She-
success.
Hey yo, she snatched it up like it was actually a snatch. She snatched it up like it was a pussy and she was Donald Trump.
But yeah, I forget failures. Yeah. We're talking about failures. John, failures. While I try and do a southern accent.
Okay, failures.
Method act. Here we go.
What kind of fail? Okay, so does my birth count? No.
He's
I kid.
I kid.
joke.
My birth
agree.
was not a failure. It was a failure of an abortion. But
Jesus, John.
how did I learn from
Your
that?
your parents learned from that.
How did I learn from that? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, bitch.
John.
That don't kill me. It can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait much longer. I know I got to be right now. Man, I've been waiting all night now. That's how long I've been on you. Work it, bastard. Better.
Okay. John, you're gonna give me an aneurysm.
Anyway, failures.
Where have I failed?
Failure.
I'm trying to think. Jesus Christ.
You became a firefighter, right?
That wasn't a failure. I chose to leave, though.
Would
No,
you
but
consider
I thought you finished it though, at least, right?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
so it
got his
wasn't a
EMT.
failure. It just I was thinking of things.
What do you
Failure
think?
reminds me.
What do you think? Firefighters are failures?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
Failure makes me think of completion. So I was like, oh, hey, he became a firefighter because he completed it, not
Yeah.
because he failed it.
There's a show, real quick. There's a show, and this guy, Dr. Cox, he was like, well, why are firefighters heroes? All they do is point a hose and shoot water at shit.
Wet stuff on the red stuff, baby.
That's all it is.
Let's hear. You know what? I got a good failure story. There's this one time I couldn't get it up, and no, I'm kidding.
Jesus Christ, John.
No, actually, no.
Always with the sex.
Leave
Okay.
all out of this, John.
Ooh. Tell the turkey story.
No.
Tell the turkey story.
No.
Tell the turkey story.
No.
I've
that
never heard
is-
the
yes.
turkey story. I am.
Yeah, you've
Tell
heard
the
the turkey story.
No.
I've
No.
told you the
All right,
turkey
hold,
story.
wait, guys,
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, back in the land of reality. But if we're talking about a real serious failure story here now,
That was a success. I don't care what anybody says.
that was a success. Yeah. So no, a serious failure story. I mean, I guess you could kind of say a failure for me is college. I mean, I'm still going to college. I'm still in the midst of it, right? But it's taken me several years to figure out what I want to do, and now I've had to jump through 3 different schools, right? So, I mean, in some ways, you could say that I kind of failed to have a plan put together, you know, so that way I could, you know, kind of get on the road of life. What I've learned, I mean, in one respect, you know, sometimes it takes time to figure some stuff out, right? I mean, for a long time, I was just, you know, all about go, you know. And, you know, it's allowed me to take a little bit of time to stop and think about what I want to do for myself, where I can excel and whatnot.
So, do you think you could have ever had a success out of that, or that was kind of a destined to be a failure, but like a constructive failure?
I mean, I think everyone needs to take some time to make sure that they know what they're getting into,
Sure.
right? You can't just blindly run around corners and expect things to work out for you, right?
Well, sorry, go ahead.
But, I mean, I'd like to say that, I mean, I really hope that I couldn't have avoided that, because otherwise, you know, if I could have avoided that, well, then, you know, shit, I'd like to have, right?
Well, but I mean, but isn't that process that you went through, isn't that what built your,
Yeah.
how solidified you are right now?
It helps to build my worldview.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, in a way, my failure to, you know, go through college as fast as possible has afforded me a new outlook on life, and I say that I've learned through that.
Mm-hmm. No,
But,
I understand.
So, you go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, so what I was going to say real quick, do you think that there are failures out there that are completely avoidable, or
Absolutely.
and do you think there are failures that you
So-
can't avoid?
So I actually want to get your guys' opinion on this, because there's a failure from
I meant to say can't avoid, not avoidable.
Yeah. So there's a guy in my classroom, right? And I personally think he's kind of a failure.
Wow.
He's
His name is Yuval.
No. This is so there's a guy that I go to school with, right? And so we are waiting to go into our English class, right? And I'm sitting in class. I got there a couple minutes early, and he's outside. He's skateboarding through the lobby of one of the buildings on campus, right? And it's a pretty congested building. You know, it's not like this is, you know, some auditorium or whatever where he can skate around. It's, you know, it's got some furniture and some support beams in the way and whatnot. And some guy in his 60s or whatever tried to tell him, hey, you can't skateboard indoors, right?
Right.
And so, you know, they get into a little bit of a shouting match or whatever. I can't really make out what they're saying until eventually at the
Was he
very
like
end.
skating around him in circles, like, "Hey, fuck you, old man."
Kinda. I mean, he was like,
Why don't you just leave?
so what? Skateboarding's illegal now or whatever? But no. So he as he's walking up to the classroom, he turns back around and he goes, well, you're old and you're white, so fuck off, right? So then halfway through the class, this cop comes in the room, right? Because the old man got the student, you know, got one of the university police officers over there.
Yeah.
And, you know, this guy, you know, the skateboarder dude, we're going to call him Skate Bro.
Can we call him Gabe?
Sure, fine, Gabe. So Gabe gets up and he's like, what's it illegal to skateboard now or whatever? He's acting like this, you know, like this total douche or whatever. And it's like, hey, bro, like, you can't skateboard indoors where you might, you know, crash into somebody. Like, outdoors, you know, you got some room to maneuver or whatever, but not in this kind of tighter space here, right? And so, I mean, the thing is that this is not the first time this has happened to him. he said when he was in class, he's like, yeah, this is my third ticket now. This is bullshit. It's like, well, you think you would have learned from the first two, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think you would have learned, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't fucking skateboard indoors. But no. Instead, he's trying to make this into this issue. He's like, well, now that I have to go see the dean about it, now I have a platform. It's like, you have a platform to go talk to the dean when you're getting summoned for your third ticket, the same way that the gallows is a fucking soapbox, right? You know, like, like this is not a good place for you to promote your cause. And the other thing is he's also trying to play this off like this is some sort of like civil rights issue, because we had some social justice warriors in my class who are like, you know, as a white person, you know, you really have like this sort of arrogance that I don't think a person of color would have or whatever. And I was like, this guy's just an obnoxious prick. Like, race has nothing to do with this situation here. Like, almost none, right? And they're coming in and he's like, you know, I think that as a person with privilege, I should be able to use my privilege to stand up for people who can't. It's like, you were skateboarding indoors, you tool bag. This isn't like, you know, Rodney King or something where, you know, they pulled somebody out of a car and beat his ass into the pavement, you know, after he had surrendered or whatever. This is you wanting to skateboard indoors and crash into people because, you know, you're just kind of being a tool, right? And it's like, you think you would have learned from the other two failures not to keep doing this, but no, you can't because you're a fucking tool, right? So that's just my thing. Because I
hope he's listening right now.
I hope he is. If you're out there,
Is that me?
Mom!
I'm on a podcast.
I'm internet famous.
Well, just real quick, we're going to wrap it up in a little bit here. But just what I was trying to say before John went on this stupid tangent. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a stupid tangent. It's just a regular tangent. John goes on tangents. That's John goes on tangents. Do. It could be his own segment. But anyways, so what I was talking about in terms of failures that you can't avoid. I know I said that you can't avoid. Obviously, you can. But failures that you can't avoid. Do you think that is something that a lot of people experience, or do you think maybe it's kind of you build yourself up to that point? Or because I think like
of course you do.
In John's example, you know, I think that was a good failure, you know, and it was of something that, you know, he didn't necessarily, until he knew what to avoid, he couldn't avoid it. So
I mean, of course you can have people where you have failures that you can't avoid, right? I mean, there's plenty of instances where there's probably people who are very smart, very capable, but they fail to get into college because they just don't have the financial means, or they don't have a letter of recommendation or whatever, right?
Well, then how are they going to grow from that? Why is that not just a failure?
Well, there's no growth.
Okay.
I'm not saying there's growth. You know, not all failure necessarily leads to growth. Some of it just fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, I mean,
I have to agree with that.
I just think I think it's interesting to just kind of think about some situations where you're on a path, but you don't know you don't know you're on the wrong path until you fail, and you know it'll be an inevitable failure. Just how extreme and how much it impacts your life. I don't know. I just thought I was just curious if you had any thoughts or opinions on that, because I know some people just are kind of like, at least I know, for example, John, like a few of the, let's say the debaters, both genders, you know, they from high school to college to now, I don't think they've ever necessarily had a quote unquote failure. So, you know, is that possible to go a whole life without?
I think I don't know if you talk about failures. I mean, they've had maybe character flaws, but in terms of I mean, me personally, I had kind of a little bit of a challenge saying, okay, where are my failures? Because not to say like, oh, I'm perfect every time, but it's because I'm very cautious, right? Like like I'm saying, you know, I don't run into things and then try and learn from my failures. I'm more of a, you know, I'm going to set up my plan before I go in, right?
Okay.
You know, so in a lot of cases, you do have people like that who they avoid failure by not taking really any risks. Right?
Okay.
But in a lot of cases, those people usually also have some sort of complex where like, oh, I've never failed. You know, I'm awesome, right? So
I think it's impossible to go through life without failure.
Well, yeah.
It's all perspective. It depends on what you think is failure. You know?
Yeah, you know,
you could be failure could be anything as, oops, didn't make a 100 on my test.
Yeah, perspective and not context, but what was I gonna say?
I don't know. I can't read your mind. I'm not on the A list.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, context. I should say.
Oh, I guess Zach, you're on the A friends list, and you have that mental. You can help him out.
It's okay.
We're like brothers, only closer.
And I literally have a scar right here, so you can actually just get him there.
What was that from? The Brothers?
SpongeBob.
That's right.
Brothers, but only closer. All right, well, I think that's a pretty nice note to end on. Failure is a great note. So just real quick, want to wrap it up. A quick fire bang out session like what we had last time. What indoor parks or outdoor parks? Blake?
Outdoor.
Zach?
What's an indoor park? What do you mean?
Like think of like, well, I guess like I'm thinking like
indoor water park versus outdoor water park?
yeah, something like that. Indoor, outdoor.
Indoor.
John?
Does Chuck E. Cheese count as an indoor park?
Oh,
Yes,
shit.
It does.
Then outdoor.
Wow. Wow.
And I would go with outdoor. So
Wow, we got 3 outdoors to an indoor?
yeah.
Oh, man.
You're cornered here, man.
That's all right.
It's okay. Tune in next time to see how we defend our positions on indoor outdoor. No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate everyone listening this far. I know we kind of went over 2 hours, but that's okay. I don't know. I kind of like this format. You know, an hour just seems very limited in my mindset. So if it's just a natural conversation and we're just like talking, obviously we're going to try and force conversation. I don't want it to last this long, but you know, I think we had a lot of different perspectives and stuff. I have no idea what I'm going to title this. I'll probably just title it Fascism ? And then that'll just be the bold.
Clickbait.
It's not clickbait, thank you. We discussed it for a large chunk of the time. Yeah. So, but anyways, any closing remarks from you guys at all?
For anybody out there listening, for next time, if you feel so inclined to give us any of your suggestions, please let us know where you like fingers during intercourse.
God damn it, John.
All right, that's good. Zach, anything for people?
I've got nothing for you guys.
Blake, anything?
When life punches you in the face, grab a bowl of lemons and half cup of milk or something.
Always
That's all I
look
got.
on the bright
And we're done.
side
That's
of
all I
life.
got.
All right, everybody. I really appreciate it, and stay tuned for Wednesday. Have a good night, everyone.